Good evening, viewers, wherever you are watching from. This is Afrique 24. Today we have a very special show, and we are joined by a good friend of mine and also a farmer on his side hustle. Today he's going to tell us how he's been affected by the long rains that have been pondering parts of Kenya. And is he really utilizing the rains properly? Karibu sana, my good friend, and please tell us where you are and what's your name. Although I know you, but the viewers out there would like to know you better. Karibu sana.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nick. It's a real good pleasure to be a guest in your show. My name is Ayub Mugo, and I have many things that I do, which one of them being I'm a farmer. And yes, it's an early morning, and we are preparing for the day. And once again, I'm saying thank you very much for welcoming me onto your show.
Asante sana, Ayub. I don't know where you are. Are you in the village? Uko mashinani hapo, uko wapi?
Yes. Hapa niko mashinani. Hii area tunaita Githunguri, area of Komothai, in Githunguri, Kiambu County.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
This is the area. Yeah.
Oh, that is Kimutai in Githunguri, Kiambu County.
Yes.
I mean, can you tell us what kind of farming you are doing in Githunguri? Na huko ndio president anatoka.
President Mugani, pengine unasema the former president.
Former president. We were told that people in Kiambu have turned their coffee plantations into estates. They are building flats and things like that. How come you have ventured into farming?
Yeah, it is true that there are some areas that have been turned into people that are constructing houses and such, residential houses and such. In the parts that are closer to the city, this is a bit inside into the Kiambu County. So here, it's not much of that, but it's catching up slowly. Yes, the coffee has been a bit of a struggle crop, which many at times farmers are feeling the bite is too much, so they end up even just removing it from the farm to try and plant something else that has less work and maybe better returns. Yeah, it is true that coffee has become a bit problematic, but we have not removed it completely. We are still trying. Even as you can see here behind me, there is coffee, which is my neighbor's coffee. But I will show you where we farm our coffee. I'll show you that as we proceed.
Okay. That is wonderful. Apart from coffee, coffee farming, do you put what else do you farm apart from coffee?
No, generally the farming that we do here is there are two elements of farming, or rather three. This area is very well known for dairy, cattle, because it is one of the top producers of milk for our nation. And apart from that, we have the normal subsistence crop like the maize and the beans. As you can see, what is behind me, this is a small maize farm where it is intercropped with beans. Yeah, so we have that, and normally we also have other things, which probably as we proceed, I'll show you what we have.
Wow, that is wonderful. So how long have you been doing farming, and is it your main source of income?
Oh well, farming is not my main source of income. I'm trained in graphic design, but I deal mainly on art. I'm an artist, as an entrepreneur. and I do interior decor and anything to do with art. I'm a sculpture artist. I have those different lines of art where I get my income from. But now farming is like a side hustle. Yeah.
I remember one of your major sculpture is still around Nyayo Stadium. Is it still there, or what happened to it? The athletes that I think that time we were working very closely when you were in Kenya.
Yeah.
It's still around.
Yeah, there are some few sculptures that I've made, which
Hmm.
I think the one that maybe people may know were two sculptures that are found at the offices of Athletics Kenya, which is the sculpture of Paul Targat and Catherine Dereva. And also I've done the sculpture of Jaramogi, which is found at the mausoleum of Jaramogi. And also I've done quite a number of other sculptures and yeah, even for different people, different family patriarchs and such.
Oh, that is wonderful, Mr. Mugo. Now let's get
Mm.
back to farming. Let's get back to farming. Today is the first day here in America. It is in Virginia. It's the first day of December, and we are experiencing very cold weather, unpredictable, extremely cold weather here in the U.S. So in Kenya, it's been flooding. How has the floods affected you as a farmer in Githunguri?
Uh, I must say that I really sympathize with some of the experiences that some Kenyans have been going through. Because the flooding has hit some areas really hard, and many people have had great losses in their farms, in their property, and even lives. So, the first thing I'd like to say is that send my sympathies and yeah, for that. But here we are a bit lucky for a number of reasons. The terrain of this area is quite hilly. Central Kenya is known for slopes, and the slopes help in some way because when it rains, the water always goes down to the river. So it's very hard for you to hear uh, flooding in this area. But probably what you would hear is landslides and such. But we are thanking God that this time around that has not happened. The effect that I may say that has happened because of the rains. Okay, first of all, there are positive effects, which you can see the crops are growing a bit faster, but there we have some of the normal crops that we have during these short rains that usually move faster, but the rains have made them to hamper in their growth. So they are still quite small. They are not moving with the speed that we want. Yeah, maybe that's the only area that I can say that has a little bit of a negative effect. But generally, everything else, we are quite happy with the rains.
Oh, that is wonderful. You're quite happy with the rains, and you expect to have a good season this year.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
what have you planted in your farm, and what is the size of acreage of your farm, for example?
Well, the acreage that we have around here is about 4 acres, and
Hmm.
most of the land is taken up by coffee, which is
Hmm.
about 3 acres or so. And then we have the 1 acre that we do now, the other farming, and probably where we have a small stay. Yeah, so most of the part is taken up by coffee. Yeah.
So do you plant things like maize in Githunguri,
Yes,
or
we
you?
do. We do have maize, as you can see here. I don't know if the sun is shining too hard on
No,
me,
no,
but you can see.
I'm seeing a maize plantation. Is that maize or what is that?
Yeah, this is maize. This is maize that we planted about 2 months ago or so,
Oh,
and they are doing.
about 2 months ago. And how long do they take in the field? I mean, for it to
Uh,
mature, be ready for harvest.
it takes about 4 months, usually around four
Oh, it
months.
takes. So
They'll be ready.
how many sacks do you expect from
Uh,
that farm?
for us, for this area, or rather the kind of farming we do, we don't have that kind of big land that we do that we can get a lot of sacks. Maybe one sack, and usually it's you sell a little bit if you can, and the rest you make for your own use for the rest of the year plus your family and friends. But this is not like the kind of maize that you get in areas like Kitale and such, which is a big acreage that you can have many sacks. This is just small areas that you get some, maybe a sack or two, where you get some unga or maybe sell some few. Yeah, that's the way we do it.
What type of seedlings do you use for plantation? Which type is it, hybrid, or what kind of seedlings do you use
Okay,
to
for the
in your
seeds,
farm?
for the maize seeds, we get the maize from our agrovet shops, which are the hybrid maize that is that has been prepared for this area. I can't remember the number exactly, but I don't know, it's
Mm-hmm.
27 or something like that. Yeah, that is the maize that
Mm-hmm.
we use in this area. And apart from that, we also use, sometimes if you get a good crop or a good seed, sometimes we decide to just keep to get the healthy ones and just plant straight from the cob. You get the cob that you're seeing looks good, you just plant it and it becomes your crop.
Oh, that that
Yes.
is that is that is wonderful. And I want to ask you whether you used fertilizer on your farm. Did you get to use some
Uh,
fertilizer on your farm?
well, we have been trying for the last few 3 years or so. We have been trying. My wife has brought, or rather, introduced a system where we use manure, which I've
Mm-hmm.
seen it's good for the soil. So we have not used fertilizer on the farm for the last 3 years, and
Wow.
we've been able to get our harvest, and it's good. So we use cattle manure, and it works well. Yeah, though sometimes I
Oh,
feel like we might need to sometimes just to subsidize a little bit with some little fertilizer to give the crop some strength, some added strength. But we've not done that
oh,
yet.
what I want to talk about what challenges do you have, being that you are also a businessman doing other you have other ventures, and you're also a farmer. What challenges do you get as a farmer and a businessman in Githunguri?
Well, the challenges are maybe I can say the challenges maybe number one are personal challenges, which is getting the time to do what I want and being able to implement the idea that I want. Sometimes you would feel like you want to do maybe you want to set up a system where you can have some, a horticulture system, like probably you plant something like a capsicum or or dania or something like that, something that will grow in about a month or so, and you just harvest. And if to get that system in order is something that needs some good investment. Maybe that's a challenge because we've not been able to do that so far, but we hope to do that going forward. uh, but say, yeah, myself, I can say the challenge is I've not been able to get enough time to put all that I need to put in the farm. But apart from that, here labor may be also a challenge because most people are doing they're farming in their own farms. To get somebody to work for you, usually you may have a little bit of a problem, but not a major problem, because eventually you'll get somebody. So apart from that, I don't see any other challenge, but they're just the normal farming challenges. You have to deal with the weeds, you have to deal with the pests and such.
All right, thank you, Ayub. I'm joined here by one Mburu. Mburu is a regular panelist here, and Pastor Mburu, can you please say hi to the viewers and tell us where you are this particular evening?
Yes, sir. How are you, Mr. Mzarendo?
I am doing great.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you and Mr. Ayub Juguna, the farmer. How are you,
Yeah,
sir?
I'm very fine. I'm very fine. Thank you very much, Mr. Is it Mboro?
Yes,
Thank you very
yes.
much. Yes, yes. Asante sana.
Yeah, I thank God for this opportunity. I just realized that you guys are online and I decided to join. I may not come in car on the video, but I'll be here participating. Thank you so much, Mr. Jogona. I love farming.
Ah,
I started doing my small farming when I was a primary school boy, and I would make money. So farming has good money for those people who are doing it on a serious way. So
yes, yes.
uh,
And, just to cut you short, Mr. Mburu, you also hail from Kiambu. You told me one time that you hail from Kiambu. This is somebody from your area, and you stopped
yes,
farming and in
where
the
where
UK.
are you right now? Where are you?
Okay. Where I am at is called Githioro, Githunguri. That is the area
Uh-huh.
of Komodai. Yeah,
Oh,
that is the area of Kiambu. Yeah. Where are
that's
you
a
from?
very fertile area. I'm from Gatanga.
Oh, Gatanga. Oh, okay. That is
Gatanga.
the bordering Muranga. Is it in
Yes,
Muranga?
exactly. But right now we are in Muranga.
Okay. There's a time you are in Kiambu, I think.
Yeah, but
Or it is the border.
we are somewhere there in the border.
Okay, okay. Okay, okay.
Yeah, a place called Gatonyo. Have you ever used that Blue Post Road to that side of Dakaine?
Yes, yes,
Heading
yes. I have done that. Yes.
Yeah, it's the first small town there
Oh, from Thika.
from Thika.
Yes. I see the place.
Wow.
Uh,
Githunguri, I have. There was a time I visited those sites. We used to supply animal feeds, and you
okay.
people are good farmers. You do a lot of dairy farming.
Yes, yes. This is a dairy farming stronghold.
Yeah,
And one thing I can say is that the people who do farming here, they are able to perform some magic because you can imagine they don't have big tracts of land,
I
and
know.
they are able to have dairy farming in a big way, and which is very encouraging.
Yeah, I think you people you need to educate Kenyans because some people they complain they don't have land. I don't know, we don't have this. But
Yeah.
I wish Mr. Mzarendo one day you're gonna visit Githunguri and you see those people with very small acres, 1 acre, half, quarter. Most of them don't even have 1 acre. It is a
Yes,
quarter,
yes, it's
it is
true.
1 acre. But the
Mm,
dairy farming there is amazing. You know,
true, true.
You
these
know,
people make
Very true.
money.
you know,
It is very true.
I've been to Githunguri. I've been into Hayub's Githunguri area, and
Oh
I love
wow.
the place. The bad side about what I noticed in that area, I hope it has improved. The roads were pathetic. The roads were very, very bad. I remember us driving
It,
to
Yes.
Githunguri, and the
Now,
roads
that
was
that's
pathetic.
that's a thing of the past. The roads here are explicit. Are rather, what word can I use? Are excessive, something like that. Are very good. They are
So
very
yeah,
good roads.
it
the
is
governor
good.
is doing
You,
a
you know,
good job.
No, not the governor. This
Mr.
was done by the former president.
Mr.
Oh,
Mzalendo, it is good
Yes,
that
yes,
you visited. It is good that you visited Githongori and you saw that there was a time we had very bad roads,
yeah,
and
very, very bad road.
many people in other places used to think that Central Kenya is favored because of having the former president, and even politicians would deceive the people that the government has been favoring Mount Kenya so much. But
mm,
when you visit some areas, you sympathize with us. You sympathize with
yes,
the
yes,
Central Kenya people.
Yeah, yeah,
Eh?
yeah.
yeah.
That is very true.
I think yeah. When I visited,
That is very
I
true.
couldn't believe that you've been having almost three presidents, and the roads were
It's
very,
not
very pathetic.
almost.
That time,
It is not
No,
almost. Say 3 presidents.
It was 3 presidents.
You
no,
know,
then, then
It was actually 3 presidents.
I used to do
no, when you,
supply.
mhm.
I used to go to most parts of central Kenya, even Gatondo. Some places you go, man, during the rainy season, the truck cannot enter there. You know,
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
very pathetic. And most of
It
the
was very
roads in
bad.
Gatondo are the ones that were left by Kenyatta, so they have potholes. They are
Yes.
pathetic.
Mm,
Unless I don't know if Uhuru improved them, but I used to visit those areas and I would wonder what magic will happen so that we can have good roads because
yeah,
people are so hard working. But even
true.
tea sometimes is very hard for tea to be taken to the factory. You know?
Mm. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Kwabia, how? Just hold
yeah.
on a little bit. I want to do something, but you just proceed. Hey, Ure, wait.
All right, all right.
Rainishi, ire. Rainishi,
Mm-hmm.
mukurti, hara shikinyeti. No,
Can you
kuro,
can you
shagiri geke.
can you mute
Yeah.
I've
Mr.
muted, I've muted him. You
Yeah.
just continue giving instructions. I've muted you for now. When you come back, you'll tell us. I can
Yeah.
hear him Skoroga Kikuyu there. Yeah? He's talking to his workers. I mean, there are so many Kenyans out there who are working so hard to put some meal on the table. And again, some of the crops might end up in the market and feed so many families out
Yeah,
there.
I had some
Mhm.
few questions for him. Maybe when he come back,
Oh,
we gonna
when he
proceed.
come back, so you don't log out. I'm actually standing in for Jax. I don't know whether he'll come around at some point, but
Maybe Mr.
yes.
Mzarendo, you can tell us. I was checking. I was doing my little research, and I have realized the price of unga is going down at a very high rate. I don't know if
No, no.
you know.
Yeah, the price of unga has gone down, but the unfortunate bit of it is that when the cost of fuel goes up, the price of commodities will also start increasing. Yeah, the price of unga had gone down significantly, but according to Kenya Bureau of Statistics, the prices have started going up again. But we have maintained. Kenya has maintained its growth. Yeah, its growth in other sectors, but the prices are going up because of the cost of fuel. But the government seem to have said that they are addressing the cost of fuel, which they are saying will come down at some point. But
So,
I
Mr.
agree with
Jogona,
you.
are
A
you
few
back
months
in the
ago,
show?
Ayub back. Ayub is
Yeah,
well
yeah.
placed to tell us. Ayub, you're well placed to
Yes.
tell us how are the prices of commodities in Kenya right now? Like, have the prices of unga? How do you feel as a farmer? Are you affected by the current situation regarding the prices of commodities in our country?
I must say that it is true that prices have had, or rather have been hiking for the last 1 year. Let's say before the 1 year, it was seeming bad, but it got worse. It really got worse, and things just shot up, and more so. I think the biggest culprit, or rather the biggest impact that, or rather cost that makes the prices go up, which is the fuel. It shot up so high in a way that that you could not imagine. It was very hard to imagine that there is a time that we will pay fuel for over 200 shillings. So it has been a big impact, and that also uh, has affected other products. But at the same time, I must say that I noticed some few changes. There's the other time I visited the supermarket, and I discovered that the price of flour is quite low. It has gone down because I bought flour at 140, and I thought there is some change there. I don't know if you can say that is because of the rains, maybe, but at least that is something positive. I discovered there's a time, the last time I bought gas was, I bought it about almost 2,000 shillings, 2,400, I think, which was less than it was some few years, some few months back. I want to request that you mute me once more. I do something,
All right.
and then I'll get back.
Okay. All right. Now you heard from Ibe that the prices of things have gone down. What do you have to say, Mr. Mburu,
Yeah,
on that
what I want to encourage is that you know, we as Kenyans, because I'm one of them, we tend to criticize the government for all the bad things, regardless
Mhm.
of the factors or the causing or the contributing factors. In the same context, when things change, we should also commend them whether they have contributed, whether it is rain or whatever has caused the prices to change. When Mr. Ayubu come, you tell us about the fertilizer as a farmer and how the fertilizer has helped them, or how he perceives the intervention of the government towards the farming to ensure that Kenya becomes food secure. There is nothing bad, Mr. Mzarendo, like when a nation cannot feed its own people. That just having few days of not having rain, everybody is crying of hunger. There can never be development with the people who are hungry, with the people who are dying of hunger. So I think what I would encourage the government is to continue uh, coming up and putting more effort and intervention to support farmers, and coming up with strategies to ensure that our country becomes food secure. It is so bad that sometimes this maize you see that is sent to Kenya for people to consume here and in other places like in Russia and Ukraine, they
Mhm.
use it for cows. It's for animals. But because we are, when we become hungry, what do? They send grains. And Mzalendo, you have been in here in America. You know, most of those grains are meant for the animals. So what we are supposed to do as a nation is to focus more on farming, like Mr. Ayub is doing. Whether you have a small portion or a big portion of land, do something about it. We have a lot of bare land in Kenya where people don't farm. Right now, the rain is just getting wasted. And after a few months from now, then you hear people saying we are hungry. Go do something about this rain. Try to harvest as much water as possible. And I think it is very bad that you see we have heavy rain in Kenya. Then after a few months, we shall now start complaining about a drought. I think the government should build more dams, especially in places like Ukambani. Mr. Mzarendo, I visited Usweni. I visited Saikuru. I visited Machakos. I visited most parts of Ukambani. And man, hey, the place was dry. The place was so dry. And it was also too hot that most men were not sleeping in the house. I would see men at night at 2 a.m. You see guys lying under the trees. And also
Mhm.
the water there was not clean. I stayed for 2 weeks minus taking drinking water. I was preferring taking soda because the water was not very good.
Mhm.
So the government should do some intervention in such areas, because once the nation grows evenly, it is better for the economy. So some of those places, the government, those dry places with high population, the government should put more intervention. Ukabani has very fertile soil, very fertile. They only need water. and we be getting good fruits from there. Fruits, maize, beans, everything. How are you, Mr. G?
Hey, Mr. G, karibu sana Mr. G. How is Mombasa? Mombasa kuko vipi bana? Salimia wa Kenya, tumekumiss sana na masuala ya siasa vile imeshikana sasa eh?
Asante sana Mzalendo. I can see Ayub na Githunguri. Greetings sir. I think I'm good. Si ati nimemiss, nimekuwa around. Nyinyi mmepotea sana. Tumekuwa na Jex kiasi, jana ndio tulikuwa na show asubuhi. Kulikuwa na issue kidogo tulikuwa tunafanya, ndio tukashikika tukupatikana jana. But we are okay. Mona, you guys, you are talking about farmers right now, but I don't know how you can help farmers.
You're talking about farming, and you want you to contribute a bit about farming. How do you farm yourself, or you are a consumer?
I don't know how I will contribute kwa sababu I don't know how I will contribute kwa sababu sai the rain is too much. Hata kusema una harvest vipi? If the government was to put mechanism, if possible, tuweze ku harvest this thing, it never did the same. Sasa sai hata tukiongea kuhusu harvesting, tu harvest vipi na hakuna vile unaweza harvest?
Mr. G, Ayub is a farmer and he's saying that he's enjoying the rains, and not in all areas that people are being swept away. Not everybody lives in Kano, where he comes from.
Mr. Mzalendo, I have a question for Mr. G.
Mr. G.
You know this politician. One, Mr. G, I know he has never done farming. I am just being mean. But Mr. G, I know he doesn't know how to do farming. But anyway, Mr. G, what kind of intervention do you think the government would have put for people to harvest? You know, sometimes we we make statements. When I look at them critically, I wonder what do you want the government to do?
Any supporter,
Mr. G
any supporter of UDA.
Or do you want the government to build a big umbrella covering Kenya so that
you are talking about Kenya. Listen, Mr. Mburu, the government said akuwa wameka pesa kando to manage hii nini. In fact, they were talking about El Nino. So wakasema wameka pesa kando to control this El Nino. Baadaye the same president akatokezea akasema kuwa hata Mungu amesaidia, Mungu ameingilia katikati, hatutakuwa na El Nino. Mimi hata hiyo pesa pengine ilitumika. That's why hii effect imetokea sasa, watu wengi wameumia. The government was to put mechanism. In fact, they were to build dams kitambo sana.
No, what I'm asking, Mr. G, you know, I normally tell people that we should not only be fair, but we should be seen to be fair. This government has just occupied office just the other day. We had Uhuru government for 10 years. And now you want to blame Ruto's government for the rains that has just happened, that he is supposed to have built dams to contain El Nino water. This is what we call natural disaster. A natural disaster, once it strikes, you see America is superpower.
Okay, you two. Let hold your thought there. Maybe you can come up and tell us something different. I want to see the war between UDA and Azimio here.
Before Ayub comes in, kuna kitu nataka kusema bila kusahau.
I'm coming to you. Ayub, what do you think about Mr. G's statement that the government should have done something to mitigate the floods? No, okay, let me unmute. Wait a minute, Ayub. I can't hear. Okay, you can talk now. You are on mute. Yes, we can hear you now.
Thank you. What I can say is that I can, on one side, support what he's saying, because I believe that one of the most important tasks of the government is to be able to implement, strategies that have goodwill. that you don't even necessarily have to use money. You know, you can be able to have strategies that can help or alleviate some of these problems without necessarily pointing out the necessity of all this money. First of all, it has to come out from your heart. Do you really want to help people? Because if the government and the people who are in power actually don't have that deep desire to help the people, what they have is a dream they had to get into power, and they got into power, and then they have all these challenges and requirements that they don't know what to do with them, and so they're just groping in the dark. They're trying to do something which they don't know, because that is usually what probably happens, especially in Africa. Because when we have people who are seeking for office, seeking for to get power to do something, these people usually don't have even the knowledge of what they are going to do. So when they are given the responsibilities, now here is a flood that is coming, here is a rain, here is El Nino. These people have, because they have spent all the last many months seeing what they can do to get channels where they can get money into their banks, well, how they will not get to be caught. Because that's, let's agree, that's our culture. That's the culture that we have in Kenya. So the government itself, we need first of all to get back to ourselves and be able to see how we can be able to help ourselves by electing leaders that have goodwill to be able to help Kenyans. That is number one. Number two, I can say that it is true. Yes, these leaders are failing us, because truly, if you are seeking office, it is upon you to be able to do something that can help the people. These people are not being of much help. The government has talked about money for El Nino and all that, and we didn't see anything much. We only saw some of the drainages being unblocked, but we did not see much about, because truly, let me say, if people have the goodwill to help Kenyans, let's say if you are a leader, surely for all these years, what is so hard to create a mechanism of harvesting water in a big scale? Because, you know, every year we have floods. And you know what surprises me is that next year, or rather even next year by around September, you'll hear people say that, you know, here in our county, the rains have failed for 5 years. You'll hear that. And we will be there saying, true. Yeah? We will be there saying, yes, the rains have failed. And we so ashamedly say that. Yet we know every now and then we have floods. These are not the first floods we have. We have floods almost probably every 1 or 2 years. And sitting down having a master plan of Kenya, just like the way countries like Israel and Egypt do. You know, we have floods at this time. We know we have our ecology is like this. How do we maximize this that we have? But I can say that it will all boil down to the kind of leaders that we elect. Because you don't elect leaders that can solve problems. We elect leaders because of other reasons, because it is in our culture. And the leaders that we get, they are representatives of who we are. And that's the kind of, until when we'll get to change our mindset, that is when we will be able to get leaders that can transform this nation. So yeah, that's my point.
Wow. I mean, that is that you just read my thought at some point, that there should have been mechanisms to harvest the rains. The farmers should have been taught on the kind of crops that they need to plant in particular areas. They should know that tomatoes and onions cannot sustain a lot of flooding. They should know
excuse me, Nick, for a minute. Yeah. I'm seeking how I can mute myself, or can you mute me, because I want to do something as we proceed. I'll get back.
You can always mute yourself using the mic, that side of the mic. That mic sign, not the mic sign on the phone.
Okay, I don't have those.
Okay, I will always mute you when you need to be muted. All right. Hey, Mburu.
Yes, Mr. Mzalendo.
I hope you're still there. You've heard it from
I was listening. I was listening, but still those statements are general statements and general arguments that I am used to. My big question was, what are those specific measures that the government can put to mitigate the whole nation? You know, El Nino is not just raining in Kisumu or Central.
Mhm.
I'll be back. Give me a minute.
All right.
Mzalendo,
Yes,
Mzalendo,
Mr. G, yeah.
you know, before Mburu start telling us about how he always listen to general statements, I think Mburu should tell us, and this is a question to him, he should tell us, was Ruto in the government, the former government, Ama he was not in the government? Another question, by the time they took over in 2013, how many dams did Ruto promise people? And what was the difference? What is it that he cannot do it now that he was able to, what is it that he could not do it by the time he came into power? Then the time he was in the power and he promised people to do the same thing. How come that he was not able to do the same things that he wanted to do when he was in the power in the former government?
I agree. I agree with you. There are some things that they would have discussed in cabinet and be implemented in cabinet. What I don't agree with you is that pushing the buck squarely on Mr. Ruto. You need to blame the previous government. The previous government was headed by none other than Uhuru Kenyatta. So when you are braving the previous government, you blame them entirely. Plus Baba, who joined in much later without any portfolio. But having said that, Mr. G, the long rains, the long rains usually come in the months of March and May in Kenya. But due to climate change and things like that, we have had it unexpectedly during this time of the month. But I remember also in December, we used to have some rains, some heavy rains. But what we are asking is that even Moi's government used to build dams and things like that. Ulikuwa unasikia vitu kama kuzuia mmomonyoko wa udongo. He had got some plans going ahead in his government. Now, what was so difficult even for the county governments to put up some money aside and to harvest rainwater for agriculture, for future use? That is what Mr. Mugo was asking. I mean, why will it be in next year, sometimes in September, some communities will be going without food because they have never had rain, or the rain that they had, they didn't harvest it. Now, should the national government be blamed squarely while we have also county governments that are funded and MCAs that represent these particular areas? So we need to do a lot of fact checking on our leaders and not blame entirely the national government. Some of these mistakes are done by the leaders we elect. So, Mr. G, your MP, what has he done? For example, you come from Budalangi or you come from Kano, where each and every year there is floods. What has the area MP done so far? He has been there for more than 3 terms or 2 terms. What has he done to mitigate the floods in that particular area? Is there any bill that he has brought in Parliament? You'll find that he has not done anything. How prepared are we in future for disasters that keep on looming in our country? It seems that the national government is not very prepared. There's no disaster fund that is put somewhere. Whenever something like that happens, they just go to the coffers and pull out money. Red Cross has come in handy in most of the cases where families are left homeless due to the floods. Their houses have been swept out, their crops, their livestock. So we need to do something and not politic about this matter. It starts with you, Mr. G. What have you done about it? What have you contributed? Yes.
You see, Mr. Mzalendo,
Mm-hmm.
in such a situation, especially when there is a natural disaster across the nation, the much the government can do is to clean the drainages and to evacuate those people who are in dangerous zones. That is what those are what we call the short-term measures, especially when the disaster is ongoing. I'm just wondering when I hear people saying that there is something the government can do, especially for El Nino. I am yet to hear those specific things that the government can do. How many dams can be built to contain water across the nation for El Nino purpose? I don't see it being a viable kind of a solution. So the government can only evacuate people, ensure there is proper drainage, continue to build proper drainages. That is the much the government can do. Last year, Mr. Mzalendo, I visited Mississippi, and there was heavy rain, and the government of US declared a state of emergency in Mississippi, and they were sending the helicopters to evacuate people. I would see houses covered with water everywhere. So and you know America is a superpower, but when it comes to natural disaster, there is no. Sometimes some situations even money can do nothing. You know. So what I can tell people, especially in some areas like Budarangi, where sometimes we end up having a very serious disaster because of flooding. People should be cautious and monitor how the rains are going. Make sure you are safe. You know, don't stay in a dangerous place expecting the government will do much. And I'm not saying that the government should do nothing. What I'm saying is kuna mambo mengine inatendeka ambayo yako zaidi ya serikali. Inatakikana mwananchi mwenyewe saa hii ajiangalie, hakikisha yeye mwenyewe hajahatarishi maisha yake, na kama uko mahali kwa hatari, at that point unaweza ita serikali, the government to come and evacuate you in whatever means. Lakini tukisema ni mambo ya kujenga dams, hakuna dams serikali inaweza jenga kuzuia El Nino. That is my point. Ile kazi serikali inaweza fanya ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba mitaro ya iko safi na maji inaweza kuteremuka, na kwenye maji inakwama, serikali inaweza kujaribu kutuma tiga zinafungua maji. More than that, I don't think right now it can work. However, we should have long time measures, kwa sababu mvua itanyesha alafu within no time tuanze kusema hakuna maji. Na the government has a very good proposal. I don't think there is another government which is thinking about water than the government of William Samoei Ruto. And I don't know why people expect the government to perform miracles. There are no miracles that the government perform. Everything starts with a strategy, laying down the plans and then sourcing the funds. And after that, you can now implement. And the government, from the time they entered the office, they have laid down very good strategies, especially for water harvesting. They have marked areas that they are going to build dams. And William Ruto is someone who has done agriculture as a course, and I know what the plans that he is having. If he is going to implement them, Kenya, we are going to be food secure. I normally say this. Mm-hmm. It is good to encourage. It's good to encourage the government. Yes, we know we are in a bad situation, but things will change. Things will never remain static. Things will not remain the same. But I tell people, don't fight the government day in, day out. No, tell the government, what do you have? What are you thinking the government should do to improve? Not just saying they are not doing anything. What we are saying, tell them, what do you expect them to do exactly that they are not doing? Do they even have that money to do it? I mean, we are in chaos. And the people who put us in this mess, they are even trying to mess more by this maandamano threat and all that.
Yeah, thank you, Mburu, for your opinion. But I think maandamano has got its own benefits, because now we are
It has
seeing.
no benefit, Mr. Muzalendo. Don't tell me. In Kenya, maandamano has no benefit.
Hey, now, UDA supporters, give me a break. James,
Who told you I'm a UDA? I'm not a UDA supporter.
James, how are you?
Yes, sir.
James, can you hear me?
I'm fine. How are you?
Can you come to
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I've been standing in for you. I'm getting a lot of fire and heat on this particular seat. Please come and take over the show.
And then,
I am about to leave.
Yes.
Yeah, please come over. I'm seeing a lady called here, Calvin Skireta, who is saying that Mzalendo is a UDA supporter. Having an opinion, it doesn't mean that you're a UDA supporter. It can be either negative or positive. I only have a strong view of the issues that affect my country. Some of it is just common sense. The issue of rain is common sense. We should have done better, and we should not blame the current government and forget about the counties that are also being funded by the national government. So, Calvin Skireta, I hear your point. You've got a point, and a democratic right to feel how you feel. But it is an opinion. It is an opinion. Let your opinion not separate our friendship and our goodwill to serve our country. Mr. G, sema bwana.
Yes, Mzalendo, I'm happy to see Jex. You know, Mzalendo, there is a problem with Mr. Mburu. When we were talking about this farming, and then he brought in a story of nini maandamano. Do you know that by the time we had maandamano, ni watu wake ambao alituambia kuwa tunaharibu biashara, the people from his region. And now, sahi baba hataki maandamano, the same people who say that tunaharibu maandamano, tunaharibu biashara zao, they're the one forcing baba to call for maandamano now.
So they are forcing baba to call for maandamano?
Yeah, they are forcing baba now. They are telling baba to come out and call people to go for maandamano, people from central Kenya. And they are the same people who told us that tunaharibu kazi zao, tunaharibu biashara zao. So when Mburu comes here,
so what has really changed? What has really changed within the last few months? Nini imefanyika sana ndio watu wa Central wamebadilisha maoni yao kwa serikali ya Ruto?
Right now they are open up their eyes, wamegundua kwa kumbe mtu akuwa ni muongo. He lied to them. And sasa sasa hivi unaona kila wakati watu wanaongea kuhusu revolution, kila mahali watu wanaongea kuhusu revolution. Remember last time we had Jimmy Wanjigi who was on another place, he was on another side for Mazimio. Wakati tulikuwa na baba, Jimmy Wanjigi alikuwa on the other side. Many people were on the other side. But say those people who are on the other side, that the one people who are talking about revolution. Why? Because wameona huyu mtu anaharibu inchi. The guy is destroying everything. So they are calling on Baba and other people to come and talk about this issue called revolution, so that they can remove this guy. That's why they are talking also about impeachment. Kwa nini sasa wanaongea kuhusu impeachment? And they know very well that the parliament imenunuliwa na Ruto. Impeachment cannot work at the moment. But they are talking about the same impeachment kwa sababu wamechoka, wamegundua kwa they were being lied. Wamegundua kumbe maandamano ingesaidia. Sasa ndio anaanza kufungua macho.
So, Mr. G, nimeona baba amekubali ile ripoti ya bipartisan talk fully, and na kuna watu kama Eugene Wamala wale wamekataa hiyo ripoti, kuna Martha Karua wamekataa hiyo ripoti, lakini baba ameendorse hiyo report. What is your take on that?
Okay, it's not that baba ameendorse that report fully. That's why he came out and said anataka iende kwa watu for public participation. It's not that ameendorse fully kwa sababu yeye alikuwa anataka kwanza kitu cha kwanza iongelewe nini? Cost of living. About cost of living, these people did not discuss on it. wakaanza kuongea mambo ya opposition leader na opposition leader seat ambayo imeletwa na kina Azimio. This issue of opposition leader seat ililetwa na watu wa UDA, na hiyo ndio vitu ambavyo mimi nakuongelea. Yeah?
Aya.
Endelea.
Yeah. So baba amesema wacha iende kwa watu. Let now people decide, kwa sababu hizi vitu mingi ambazo tumediskasiwa pale na ambazo vitu ambavyo ameagree nayo ni vitu ambao most of them ilikuja na watu wa UDA. You see? So baba hakutaka kuingiza ndani kusema kuwa ana endorse 100%. He has not endorsed it 100%. He's waiting for people. What will people say? Kwa sababu issue of seats, hizo mambo za seats nini prime minister, seats of opposition leader, these are the issues, these are the ultimatum ambao UDA came with it. Na hiyo ndio vitu ambavyo ameongelea.
Haya, hiyo ni maoni ya bwana Mr. G, supporter wa Azimio number 1 akiwa pale Pwani, telling us how he feels about the government of William Ruto has really let the people of Mombasa down, and especially Mr. G, who feels like the government should have done much more better to reduce the cost of living among Kenyans. I think Ayub, can you come in at this particular moment and tell us what you think or what you feel as as a farmer, a businessman, compared to what used to be there? What do you think that this government is doing right? Can you just tell me at least one or maybe two things that you think that Ruto's government is doing right? Because I'm seeing a lot of lamentations from all sectors. Another lady here says Calvin's not. It's Calvin's is a man. Says that Ruto has messed this country, and the people like me who are in America are talking about things that they don't know. So you being in the country and you feeling the pinch of gas and everything else. People have been politicking year in, year out about the government, especially the 1 year of William Ruto. Do you think like Kenya is in the right trajectory with President William Ruto? Are things looking better? What is your opinion? I know you are not very political, but what is your opinion in this particular matter?
Well, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, my take on this government would be truly, I recognize that Kenyans are really complaining because of the kind of situations that we are now finding ourselves in. But I'd like to say that I remember during the times of Kibaki, I remember when Kibaki was president, and there was a time that the government was getting into so much problems and trouble, political problems. You remember the times of Anglo leasing and the Murungaros, and I recall a time when Kibaki was trying to even form government because of the kind of negative atmosphere that was in the nation. You can imagine he was trying to get even people to become ministers, and even people from his own area were refusing to become ministers in his government. What I'm trying to say is that number one, yes, it is true that Kenya is not where we would want it to be, and Kenya is not in a place that we hoped or we thought that we could be. But having said that, I recognize that this is my own take, that we as Kenyans, and I said this earlier, there is something that we'll need to change as from the individual going forward, in that we put so much stake in the government that sometimes, and we adapt in ourselves a culture of complaining. There's a person who said that during the times of Kenyatta, we were complaining. During the time of Moi, we were complaining. During the time of Kibaki, we complained, even we killed each other. During the time of Uhuru, we complained and called him a thief. Now here we are complaining again. Some of the things that we complain about are very legitimate, true. But truly, is it that we adopted a culture of complaining? Because is there any time that Kenya has been right? Can we say there's a time that Kenya, because every time we look back, like now, for example, as I was saying earlier, some few years back, fuel, I remember when fuel was going to get to be over 100 shillings. Oh, Kenyans we were up in arms because we could not imagine paying 100 shillings. Now, the unimaginable, we are in 200 shillings. Yes, it is important that we can raise our voices, but until the time that we will decide as ourselves to make a change on the decisions we make for the nation, we will continue to complain. Now, having said that, it is true. I want to now get back to my political take of the current situation that our country is in. During the times of the elections, there are some few things that we were able to observe, the kind of promises that we were given about this nation. And I think that is one area that brings people to a place where they feel betrayed, because even if you are not a supporter of Ruto, the promises that were given, even though you would not be a supporter of Ruto, you hoped that those promises would be kept. You really hoped that even if we are going to miss out on our candidate, if this guy can be able to make those promises work, it will still be worthwhile. But now, coming to 1 year down the line, you discover that there seems to be, it is becoming evident that some of these promises are made at the whim of the time. That, you know, it is we discover that these politicians can say anything without caring, without even considering the kind of people you are talking to. They can say we will do this issue. You know, I remember the times that we were being told that gas will be in the next 2 months. Gas, I don't know, will be 500. And we have been told many things that, I remember there's a time that we are told that in January, like me, I'm a coffee farmer, that in January, the coffee cartels will be destroyed. Here we are, you know, the other January is here coming, you know, and these promises are made to a point that even if you are a supporter of the president, you know that these promises mean nothing. They will not be backed up. They will not be worked on. They are just promises that are being made now to a point that we see that the bottom line of these promises is to hoodwink Kenyans so that these people can get power. They can say anything to get to power. And we may think that this is only Ruto who does that. This cuts across the board in Kenyan politics. People just say anything for the sake of power. And for that reason, it is a sad time for our nation. We can only say this, and this is something that somebody said. The opportunities that we are getting as individuals, we try to maximize on them. Otherwise, if we sit back and hope that the government will come and create opportunities for us, that will be just something that we will hope for. We will just hope for, and we should be able to stand up and get something done for ourselves, because the government may and most probably will not keep their promises. It may, but let that just remain as that. It may, but it is not a guarantee. Yeah.
Well, Mr. G, you just heard from Ayub is telling you politicians are just politicians. Raila is not an alternative. Until the day we as Kenyan citizens will look up and say, you know, we have been played for a very long time, and look for the right leaders to take us forward. So, Mr. G, I know you've got very burning issues to talk about, but on the cost of living, I have a feeling that the price of hunger has gone down. I read somewhere today that the Kenya Bureau of Statistics are saying that the prices will go slightly up this month and next month because of inflation. but Kenya has maintained a steady growth record. That is what the data is saying. But you, as Mwananchi, is saying something else, something different, because it's eating into your pocket. So, what is your take this morning? Even as we,
Mzalendo. Okay, am I audible? I'm using another device.
yeah, you are okay. At least now you are better. I can see your face. When you're
Okay.
annoyed, I can see you properly.
Yeah, I agree with what Tayyip has said. And he brought in the issue of complaint. But when you talk about complaint comes because of the leaders themselves. Look at what Ruto promised us concerning this issue ya unga ambao nasema. By that time, unga was around 150, around 130, 150.
Unga ilikuwa wapi? 150, 130?
No, by the time Uhuru was in the government, was living in the government, how much was the one packet of 2 kg? It was almost 150, and then he brought it to 100. It is Ruto who has brought this issue of unga.
Oh.
It is in this regime, this Ruto's government that has brought the unga to 200 plus. But by the time Uhuru was leaving the government, he brought unga to 100 plus 100 shillings. And that is when Ruto came in and told us that he will bring the unga to 70. Sasa, how can we...
I need to research on that. Your statement is the opinion. I need to research on when unga was 100 during Uhuru's time.
No,
Yeah, I can support him.
Oh, you can support him. Oh,
yes. There's a time when Uhuru was in power. There are 2 months that there are two like what can we say, seasons that were about a month in length, that he subsidized the price of maize, so that it could not be 150. It went down to 100 shillings, and those were two times. It was sometimes early in the year, which was maybe it went more than a month, maybe about 3 months, and then about a month towards the elections. At that time again, it was subsidized to be 100. But generally, the price of unga was ranging around 150, around there, 100 maybe 40, around 150, around there.
Exactly.
Mr. D, you got a supporter today, and with facts.
No, so, we always talk facts. Is you guys with UDA team always lies.
When you say we, say we,
you and the UDA supporters, you always like to lie. When we talk about 150, listen to what Ruto said 2 days ago. I think it's 2 or 3 days ago. Wakati alikuwa anaongea pale, he was confident, telling people ati unga ilikuwa 250. There's no time in Uhuru's regime where unga went past 200, even haikufika 200. Yeye anasimama anasema tu wakati wa Uhuru ilikuwa 250. Sasa hii amerudisha tu 130, and yet unga ambao anaongea is almost 160, 170 ndo anaongea. This guy is full of lies. Now that's why you cannot agree with him. You see, now I come to that issue of cost of living. Unajua, people are talking about cost of living. Ruto anajitokezea anasema kuwa cost of living inarudi chini kwa sababu amepunguza unga. Unga sasa imerudi chini. I don't know what do you understand by this word cost of living. Because for me, I think when somebody talks about cost of living, it is general thing. When I talk about cost of living, inaangalia pia upande wa kazi. Kama mimi maybe nafanya kazi. Hiyo kazi ambayo nilikuwa nafanya nilikuwa nalipa pesa ngapi? Hiyo kampuni ambayo nilikuwa nafanya, I'm still working on the same company. Ama hiyo kampuni imekufa. At this moment, wakati tuko sahi, many companies zimefunga. A lot of investors wametoka Kenya, wameenda. So people cannot even afford that amount, that money. Hiyo ambayo nasema sija tu 130 ama 160. A number of people cannot afford that unga. Alafu anatuambia cost of living imerudi chini. Cost of living ijarudi chini. Look at power. Vile pesa zinaenda mingi sana kwa power, and yet tunapata 3 to 4 units.
Have you been there? Just continue.
Yes, go on. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when you talk about cost of living, I think we need to look at this thing generally. When you talk about tumepunguza cost of living, that means that kama umepunguza cost of living, inamaanisha kuwa investors should be many in Kenya. Companies should be growing. at the moment. At least watu wangekuwa na kazi, hatungekuwa na jobless people. Kazi ingekuwa, people could be able to afford hiyo maisha ambayo unasema imerudi chini. People should be enjoying at the moment. Ndio waseme cost of living imerudi chini. But now when you talk about cost of living imerudi chini and yet people cannot even afford. Even kwanza kwa sasa hivi tunaongea, by next year January, a lot of people hawataenda shuleni, a lot of children hawataenda shuleni kwa sababu the parents have to pay money. Na wao mama wenyewe na wababa, the parents hawana hata kazi, hawana hiyo pesa. Alafu somebody wakes up and anatuambia kwa cost of living imerudi chini, imeanza kuwa stable. Bwana, we are still too far from being stable. This government need to do something. Lakini siongea kuhusu reduce cost of living chini, haija reduce cost of living chini. Watu wengi wamepoteza kazi, they cannot afford hii maisha ambayo wanaishi sasa hivi. Back to Mzalendo. You muted, hatukusikii. Uko muted.
All right, I was trying to add one of the participants who anataka kuingia. Give me just a second. I'm just adding somebody. Maybe we can dive into the issue of, I saw in the newspaper today that you are in Mombasa. Tell us about this issue of Mamanjeri and the fuel that was being brought. What are the locals saying there in Mombasa?
No, Mamanjeri just a scapegoat, Mr. Mzalendo. Mamanjeri has nothing with that mafuta. That is just a scapegoat. Hiyo mafuta ina wenyewe. Hiyo mafuta ina wenyewe. Na wenyewe tayari washaichukua mafuta tayari.
Wenyewe washaichukua.
Wenyewe wanajulikana. Wenyewe washaichukua, si mafuta ilikuwa flooded. Remember by the time the woman came out,
nataka kuuliza, maybe pole sana, maybe for interrupting. I just maybe try to understand hii mafuta, what is going on, what is the backstory? Huyu mama, who is she fighting against, and what's going on, what's the backstory?
Okay, he's not fighting any person. The woman, the thing that I know is hiyo deal imeharibika. The deal imeharibika, ni kama alitumika, the woman alitumika tu. Watu walikuwa maagiza mafuta and their cartels, na hata baki na nini wako ndani kina chirichiri wanajua hii story, kwa sababu the woman came out akatuambia kuwa hiyo story alipeleka kotini na koti ikasema hiyo meli sio flooded, but from nowhere tukaambiwa meli isha flood na mafuta ishachukuliwa, meli tayari ishaenda. You see, so hiyo tayari is a contradicting statement. How comes the court inakwambia usiofload meli, alafu unaenda ahead you flood, alafu huyo mama mwenyewe unamtuma DCI, akifika DCI anashikwa, anafungiwa karibu siku 3-4, akija kuachiliwa hakuna kitu yote tena inaendelea. So this is a well calculated deal ambao inajulikana na watu. So the woman is just a scapegoat, ametumika tu.
Kwa hivyo mafuta hata kuna Galana Oil Galana Oil, is it a company or a refinery? There's a company called Galana claiming that mama wako naye kotini. I don't know how they came in on this particular issue, but
Sasa mimi there's one area that I'm not getting, which I'm seeking to understand.
Yes.
And this happens usually in Kenyan politics. Ushasikia watu wakisema aje, I was being given money, I was being offered this money to do this. You know, unaweza sikia mtu anasema I was offered 200 million by the people of government to do this. Vitu kama hizo. And kama sasa huyo mama, if truly kuna vile anatumika na watu, what beats me is what is so difficult kuenda useme majina, nani tulikuwa na yeye akafanya hivi, akanipea pesa hii, wakaniambia hivi, like that. Give a story that is in black and white. For once in our nation, we have a direction of fighting to fight the corruption. At least for the first time, we'll be able to have an opportunity.
Juguna, what happens? What happens is unachukuliwa, haujui anything. You see, haujui kama hii kitu ni deal mchafu, hauelewi kabisa kama ni deal chafu. So they use you, wakati washafaulu kitu ambako unapata, unawekwa pending. Hata in fact hata hiyo pesa ambako umekuwa promise, sometimes hata haupewi hiyo pesa. But remember, umetumika ukiwa haujui kama ni deal chafu. Utakuja kujua ni deal chafu baadaye kama everything isharibika.
Okay, so, Mr. D, let me welcome the FFM party leader, Kevin O'Ward. Kevin, please tell us who you are, where you are listening from, and what does this FFM stand for? And did I get it right? Is it FFM?
Thank you, Mr. Nick.
Yes.
This is my first time to log in and maybe catch up with you guys.
Yes.
I'm Kevin O'Ward, the ODM FM leader. That is Freedom Fighters Movement Youth League. So I'm happy to participate, and I'm happy to catch up with the discussion. I've just logged in.
Yes,
and going through or listening to what you're saying, it is like the topic is corruption, but I'm yet to find out the topic of discussion, and then I'll be part of it.
All right, thank you, the FFM leader. Now we are talking about, we are reviewing the political situation in our country. We are looking at how ineffective is Ruto's government, or how effective is Ruto's government, and everybody is complaining about the cost of living. Do you see any hope in this particular government? And being a youth and a very youthful leader and an aspirant, I know you are an aspirant. You are geared and ready to contest in 2027 elections. Are you seeing a bright future for our country? And are the youths in Kenya being given the space by your political party, Mr. Kevin?
Thank you, Bwana Nick. I want to say that the Ruto government really deceived Kenyans. When they campaigned on the platform of bottom up, we thought life could be affordable. But what we are currently experiencing, Nick, we are perturbed, and most of the youths are scared, and not only youth, but Kenyans. The cost of living has skyrocketed. Life is really terrible, and I don't think there is hope in this regime. And as you can see, every Kenyans are now tired of the cost of living, and people are threatening to down the tools and maybe protest. I want to say that as much as Ruto government has failed, I don't see any other alternative regime. ODM has been the party, but I don't think ODM is solution. But we must struggle for life, and we must come up as youth. Maybe through the freedom fighters movement, we can change life. We can find amicable solution for the high cost of living, and maybe we can also air our voice to the government in order to make life affordable. Everything, Nick, has skyrocketed. The cost of living, education, everything here is is a problem.
I hear you, Mr. Kevin. And Mburu, are you back? Geoffrey Mburu, if you can hear me, can you tell me whether you can turn on your mic or your video so that we can see you? Mr. Kevin, you're right. Everybody who is coming into this channel is telling us that the cost of living has gone up, and Ruto is messing up government. We are hoping that whatever is trying to do will help the locals at the end of the day. And that's why you came into this particular channel, so that we can discuss the issues affecting our people, especially the youths who are hoodwinked with corruption. How are you going to tackle corruption? Some of the issues that are affecting our country is the voter. It's me and you who are the problem. It is not the government of the day. It is me and you who elect these bad leaders. I wanted to tell Mr. G, at one point that Kibaki brought the cost of living down. I needed to go and find out how the Kibaki was able to reduce the cost of living compared to one Uhuru Kenyatta and now William Ruto. Go and find out on the answered and see how effective that parliament was and how ineffective this parliament is. Yes, Mr. G.
Fernando, do you remember that it is the same Ruto who told us that he's a good student of Kibaki? So I expected him, being a good student of Kibaki, to perform better than even Kibaki. But now he's worse than even Uhuru, that we thought he was not good. At the moment, we think that Uhuru was just a saint. I see Gavani is around.
Giovanni.
Can I say something?
Yes, you can say something.
Can I say something? I've had a friend who has said that that the experience of Kenyans right now is truly horrible. That we can say that what we are seeing is worse than probably any other time that Kenya has been, because as he has compared, he has said that that is worse than what we had in Uhuru's time, and even probably I don't know beyond that. But I want to ask, I want to maybe to just question. If let's say what I'm getting ahead of myself. I think hiyo swali imepotea. Wacha ni rethink and then I'll post it in. Pole sana. Let me wacha ni rephrase and then I bring it.
You want to say hi to Giovanni before you rethink your question. Giovanni, karibu sana kwa show.
Thank you. I can see there is a lot of noise behind. I can see my.
I muted Ayub's mic, so I think we are okay now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can see Mr. G, my able panelist. I can see Mboro there. Mboro is not around, or is, and then I can see.
Mboro is here.
Mboro is there.
Can you put your camera on so that we see you?
Sir, I'm driving.
I can also see. I can see also Kevin. I think we have not met with Kevin.
Kevin is the FFM party leader. Hey? That's a wing in ODM that is really fighting hard to dislodge Ruto or gain power. Yeah.
I can also hear Ayub, but Ayub has not been in. We have not met on the platform, but he is a very strong supporter of UDA. He is a very strong. Mswahili usema uligonga dipo. This is someone who will support Ruto to even to death.
No, Ayub, we had Ayub earlier telling us about farming. He was farming in Githunguri, and that is the reason why Ayub came into the show. He was telling us about what he's doing with the rains. So we started the show with farming. We started the show with modern ways of farming and how to utilize the rains properly. Some people are complaining, but some people are utilizing the rain. And as the show progressed, we started thinking about what should the government do in order to harvest these rains in the future, because we are looking at a drought season that is coming, yet we have had a lot of water being wasted by this government. Vis-a-vis, we have the national government and the county government. So the county governments are complaining that the national government is not doing anything. Yet the county governments are also receiving funds that they have marked for disaster. So these funds probably is getting into waste somewhere else. Somebody is getting away with it. So that is why we have this particular forum, viewers, so that we can talk about what is affecting our country. And believe you me, our leaders listen to this particular forum. Here, right now, we are being watched by over 100,000 people, over 1,000 people watching this particular show. By the end of the week, will be almost 20,000, 12,000 people, 20 plus thousand people watching this particular show on different formats. So this is the right place to be, FM leader. If you want to propagate your agenda at a national level, this is where you need to be. Sometimes you stop about village politics a bit and come on the national platform. This is where you meet all Kenyans from all walks. Mr. G is in Mombasa. Mr. Ayub is a farmer in Githunguri. Mr. Giovanni is a renowned designer in Kenya. Mr. Mburu is in Missouri. And of course, the one and only FM party leader is somewhere in Western Kenya. So karibuni kwa show, let us discuss our country. It is very, very important that we come together and see how we can set the agenda. Normally, the politician sets the agenda for the people. This time around, we want the people to set the agenda for the political class. The people should set the agenda, not the other way around, the politician setting your agenda. That is why, Mr. G, I always have a problem with you when you tell me, Baba has to give us direction. You need to have your mind of your own so that we can look at things critically and not look at things in Raila Odinga's mind or William Ruto's mind. Look at things as a Kenyan and look at things that will help our country. Don't
Mr.
be...
Mzalendo.
Yes, Geoffrey. Karibu.
Yes, Baba is always right. That's what they say.
No, it's not that Baba is always right. Mr. Mburu, when you...
Mr. G, why can't you let Mr. Mburu finish his statement and you'll come in and rebut? Please.
But look at the point he came in. Look at where he came in.
You can go ahead, Mr. G. Mr. G, you can go ahead so that I may know how to square you properly. You cop what you have.
Mr. Mburu, when we support Baba, it's not that he's always right. You see, but he's somebody that always sees ahead. At the moment, I don't think if you have a strong leader like Baba, Kama Sai, like Juzi, we had Wanjigi in Mombasa, and he was talking about revolution. Look at Wanjigi, and look at the people he's talking to, and the people he's working with. Can these people bring revolution?
Are you done? Can I come in now?
Yes.
Okay, come in.
You see, Mr. G, the mistake you are making, eh? Like, you are saying Baba always sees ahead. What does he see? Yet he has tried to become the president 5 times.
Yeah, he has tried to
and you are telling us he sees ahead. He sees nothing. He sees nothing. He doesn't see anything. Because if he has been seeing something ahead, or he is able to focus ahead and predict the outcome of things, or even able to think logically, he would have won and become the president of Kenya. So the fact that he has been fighting to occupy that office, and other people that he thinks are stupid, he thinks they are dumb, they have always outwitted him. It tells me that Baba sees nothing. Apart from that, I have heard, at least I have arrived now. I'm not driving, I'm getting to the house, and I'll come to the show. Now,
Mr. Mzalendo, can I cut Mr. Mburu kidogo?
No, just a minute.
Can I cut? No. Can I say something before Mburu go? Is this the same Mburu we have been conversing with on this platform? I don't think he is the same person. Today he appears to be someone else. Ama ni asubuhi sana. Si hii show tunaweza ifanya jioni. The kind of person I've been listening to, is not the same person I'm listening to right now.
Okay,
What has happened?
Let me finish
What has happened?
No, let me finish what I'm saying, sir.
Bwana Mzalendo, please
You
save
guys,
save the reputation, save the
in the
reputation of
storm.
Mburu.
I'm really sweating. Now,
No,
Mburu,
let me
Please
finish
save
what I'm
save
saying.
the
the one in
please
Mburu will
save
come on camera. You'll get to see him if it's the same
save
person or
save
it's a different person. Oh,
yeah,
it's
save the
twins.
reputation of Mburu. I think
Now,
I think
okay.
his mic has been what they call it. Ama imeporwa hiyo mic.
Now, can I go
Bwana
ahead?
Mburu, are you the same person?
Can I go ahead?
Yes,
Can
go
I
ahead.
finish what
Go
I'm
ahead.
saying?
Go ahead. Put your mic
Now,
on. I want to see your
you
face.
see, people should be free to speak freely. There is no reputation to be saved. It is good for people to talk and talk freely and say what they think. I was just saying, Mr. G said that Baba sees ahead to the
And you
extent
don't believe he
that
sees ahead.
to the extent that they suspend their reasoning. Sometimes they refuse to reason and they say Baba is always right. And I beg to differ with them. It is always good to think. We have been there. We have had experience with this man for a long time. He has been in the field, in the politics of Kenya. As much as we say there are positive contributions, are there no negative contributions? To me, according to my analysis, Baba has done more harm to the nation of Kenya than good because of his radical approach to every issue, because of encouraging hooliganism. Just the other day, I was watching the TV and I heard the president of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu, saying that they are receiving investors because in their neighboring country, there is chaos. And for that reason, the investors have left Kenya. Mr. G, calm down. You get your time. The investors left Kenya because of hooliganism, because of mayhem, because of conflict, because of war. And now the people who are supposed to offer jobs to Kenyans are in Tanzania. Apart from that, and this is what I'm saying, it's good always for people to think, is this person doing good or harm to them? Many millions or thousands of tourists left the country. You saw people flocking at JKIA, going back to their countries. And that is how the economy of Kenya has been failing, year in, year out. We have, through Baba leading his supporters, we have lost billions. We have lost jobs. We have had a very bad image outside the country that Kenya is chaotic, is a country of war, is a country of bloodshed, is a country whereby any time is unpredictable. Our economy is not very stable because anytime we can erupt to war, we can escalate to anything. So this is what I was saying, Mr. Mzalendo. As much as people want to tell us how Baba has contributed towards the growth of Kenya, the suffering we are going through today, it was caused by one, Baba, and the handshake brother Uhuru Kenyatta. Because what happened? When they realized they are going to lose to William Ruto, they first came up with a strategy. We are going to buy time through the courts, the court process. They knew there was nothing. That is why whatever they took there was no evidence. What they were doing, they were buying time to be able to steal and to make sure that the government that is coming will have a very hard time to stabilize. And even after that, after doing all what they did, and you saw the report is there, the controller of budget said they released billions. During the period when the case was going on, Uhuru ordered the controller of budget to release this money there, that money there. They dispersed money to ensure that there is nothing remaining in the treasury. Apart from that, the final statement is this. After making sure that there is no money for the government will not know where to start. They decided they will not even give the president and the Kenya Kwanza government peace to lay down their strategies and to start working. Immediately wakamwekea maandamano, fujo everywhere. Now nasikia watu wakisema ya kwamba ati Ruto amefanya maisha yao ikuwe gumu, but they don't see where the problem has emanated from. That is my point, and I'm done.
Mr. G, I know you're banning, you are reporting on that particular issue. Go ahead, Mr. G.
Gavani anaongea lakini hatumsikii. Gavani. Yeah,
Giovanni, your audio, you're not audible. Do something about it. Either log in and come back because we can't hear you. Mr. G, continue.
Yeah, it's wrong for Mburu to come out alafu anaanza kutuambia that it is Raila who has caused people to suffer in this government. In fact, naona anaongea kuhusu investors. For me, I know investors has left Kenya because of high taxes ambaye imeletwa na huyu ambaye ni Ruto. Now, when you start lying to us that it is maandamano ambaye imefukuza investors, let's be realistic, Mr. Mburu. Many of the investors wametoka Kenya kwa sababu high cost of taxes ambayo imeletwa na this government. And you are talking about Uhuru stealing money. If you are true that Uhuru stole money for the whole 1 year imeisha, why is it that government ijaenda kumshika ikampeleka kotini? Let us not propagate propaganda, Mr. Mburu. Let us talk facts. Yes, Gavani, you had something to say before I continue.
Gavani, is your mic okay?
Yes, I wanted to say something. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Now, what I wanted to say before we move on, first and foremost, I love the position of us working with facts. Facts are always stubborn. First thing we have to agree is that the government does not have money on treasury. It does not budget on the money that it has on the treasury. It budgets on supplementary budgets. These supplementary budgets are budgets which are expected. It's unexpected returns. It's not something that they don't have. Hawana gala za kuweka mahindi. Hawana pesa inawekwa mahali kama treasury. That is not how the government works.
Oh. Your network is disappointing you, Mr.
The government makes action. Yeah.
I think, Giovanni, you're having network issues. Be in a place where there's a good network. You are static. Unakatika. Can you be in a good position where you are not moving? Yes, say something, Mr. G.
Sorry.
Okay, what I was trying to say is that when we talk about money and investors live in Kenya, alafu Mr. Mburu tell us at
here is
the
okay.
Government, this government
you're okay there, but you
anapenda kutuambia. Yeah,
go ahead.
They go to empty coffers. Yeah, look, yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. G. Why are you talking and stopping at the same time? Finish your statement. Finish your thought process.
I saw you talking. Okay, what I was saying is that this government, in less than 6 months, wakati waliingia kwa power, they had used more than 4 billion shillings, and this was being used for renovation. Wanavunja zile makaburi za State House, wakijenga zingine, buying things which has no use. Wanajiwekea they wanted to use 700 something million just to buy new cars, and yet the former government left cars for them. Sasa watu watatu, Ruto, Gachagua na Mudavadi, they wanted to use almost 700 million just to buy cars. Alafu hapa Mburu tell us that Uhuru stole all the money from the government. Okay, so, Gavani, I don't know if you are now okay. You can go on.
You see, Mr. G, Mr. Mzalendo, I have sent you Mr. Mzalendo, I have sent you a link there. You're gonna see the statement of the
You say
Tanzanian
something.
president.
Yeah, Mr. Kevin, can you say something very fast? And I've sent you some message. Please acknowledge whether you got the message, Mr. Kevin, FM party leader. Can you go ahead with your statement?
Thank you, Mr. Nick. I haven't checked the inbox, but I will do it later. So allow
All
me
right.
get into the discussion. The issue brought by Mburu. Let us not lie to Kenyans about the past regime. Let us talk about the issue that we have at hand. This regime of the UDA government. I want to say that this government is incompetent. And there's nothing to smile about. There is absolutely nothing to smile about the UDA government. When they said that when they took over, there were some money that were taken from the treasury. I think the law is very clear. If there is transaction that Uhuru made out of the law, then the government should not talk about in the street. They should go and arrest Uhuru and maybe recover the money so that Kenya can be fixed. Let us not blame what Uhuru did. Let us not blame the past regime. And again, look at the Uhuru cabinet. Let us look at the Ruto's cabinet, I mean. Look at the top ministers that we have. We have ministers like Moses Kuria. We have Machogu. Do you see any composition, any individual who is competent enough to fix Kenya as is it now? I am a teacher by profession, but I can tell you that what the teachers are going through right now is a hell. You all know that we changed from the 844 now to CBC. Right now we have teachers who are employed in the primary. They are called junior secondary teachers.
Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
These people are employed around, as we speak right now, these teachers are paid, are given a peanut pay of 17,000. And imagine they're going to work for 2 years. Absolutely, these teachers are fumbling. And our learners are going through, are going to be half-baked. So I think Ruto regime, the UDA government, has totally failed. And come next year, things will be terrible. Uhuru rolled out what we call the medical cover for all the students. And currently, the students are being treated in any facility free of charge. When you look at the newspapers that was given yesterday, the UDA government is planning to scrap it off. And I can tell you that life is going to be very difficult. School fee has gone up. Cost of living is up because of high taxation. Some of the companies are going to be sold. So there's absolutely nothing to smile about this regime. Majority of the youths are jobless. And youths are the most productive people in our society. Where is this government taking us? I think we need a solution. And if possible, this government should not even be in power for 5 years. As youths, you are bleeding. Youths are hungry. Youths are jobless. We need a solution. We need a solution like yesterday.
You heard it from a teacher, and he's just told you how teachers are suffering. And it's not my word. It's not. It's somebody who is experiencing the same heat as other Kenyans who are complaining. Now, Mr. Njuguna, you've been quiet for some time. Yeah, you've been quiet for some time.
First of all, I'd like to apologize because I'm handling some few other issues. That's why I'm sometimes getting off. But having said that, I'd like to weigh in on what the discussion is, and I'd like to say that what Mr. Maina has said, not Maina, there's that gentleman who talked about how Raila has been like the main problem of this nation.
Mburu.
Yes, Mburu. First of all, I would say the facts may be, there may be some truth in what he's saying, but apart from that, let's be a little bit honest in saying that that the problems we have are mainly because there was money that was looted in those maybe 3, 4, 5 months before there was the transition. I think that may not be entirely true because you know very well that there are records that can be able to be used to be able to point out where that has happened and probably bring some people to book. And in any case, you know, this is a political push and pull, a political battle that would be very good fodder for the other side to be able to smear them well so that they can be able to have their comfort. But I tend to think that is more on the side of propaganda. It doesn't mean that they have not done that. I think, now this is my take now. What I think is that Uhuru did actually, yes, spend quite some amount, a big amount of money in government expenditure, which was done probably in good faith. But unfortunately, it was not done prudently. That is my take. So at the end of the day, there was a lot of money that was taken out in projects and all that had a dent on the economy. That is my take, and it can happen to anybody. And so for that reason, I tend to believe that it is the responsibility of the regime that has taken power to be able to streamline the country to how they want them to be, to how they'd like it to be. Now, as I said earlier, there was I have a little bit of frustration with this government in that I discovered that all politicians are the same. And it's not only this government, as I said earlier, it is a culture that we Kenyans have, that that deception is key. You know, we can deceive people to be able to get to what we want. And that is how actually most of the reasons why Kenyans are coming up with anger and all that is because there are promises that were made in the whims of the situation. And the politicians, and I would say the president, has made some utterances of heaven, you know, and giving the people promises that were so sound that even if you didn't support him, you wished that was true. And so even when he got into power, when these things are not happening, definitely those things would cause people to feel a betrayal. But having said that, recognizing how our nation is, as I told you earlier, I was one time a supporter of Raila Odinga, especially during the first term of Kibaki. I remember I really hated Kibaki, really, seriously, because of some of the things that were being said. This was the time of Anglo-listing and all that. And I remember right now, as I look back, hindsight, I remember the time that Kibaki was trying to, a time that he had a serious crisis in his government. He had tried to get, and we were celebrating that Kibaki is having serious struggle. And you know, in all that was happening, we were celebrating. But now we sit back and see, you know, I sit back right now and I say, I was quite unfair to that man. That man really tried to help our nation. But unfortunately, there were some elements of our own Kenyan culture that was in him, because definitely you appoint people, but these people have other things in their mind. And as I said earlier, we have politicians that they get into office, but you may think that they are getting into office to help the country, but they are actually there, focus their minds to what they are going to get. How they can get, how they can hide money, how they can be able to siphon, you know, different projects, so that they can be, the money can go into the accounts in ways that they cannot be caught. So I really was not happy. I wasn't loving Kibaki, but right now I look at it and I think that man was really a man who really wished well for our nation. Now, on the issue of the current government, and I was, as somebody said, that I am a supporter of this government. Truly, I would be a supporter of this government, because you tell me, what alternative do we have? maybe you give me an alternative, and we see. What I tend to think is that in this government, I see some goodwill. And somehow, what I will say will not be popular. I have some faith that in about 3 years, there's some element that we will see of goodness coming out. I tend to think so because of some few things. And let me give this as an example. There's a person that I've met that is really doing very good business. Why? Because he's making furniture. And the kind of furniture he's making is a kind of furniture that was imported from China. And right now, because of the duty that is being taxed on incoming furniture and metalworks and all that, making it difficult to come and bring in products here that will compete with local products, I think that was positive. So I tend to think there may be some of these minute things here and there, and for that, it is good that we celebrate. The only other thing is that, as I said, that we have this culture of serious complaint. You know, even when I was hating Kibaki, it is because of our Kenyan culture, because we love to see things on a negative, on negative light. So my take is that, as unpopular as it is, I tend to believe that in not very long there will be a turning. There are elements that I think that are made because there are some hard decisions that need to be made, and some of them are not popular, because when you want people to be able to be responsible in certain areas, like the health scheme that is coming, which is not popular because you're trying to say that it has to be on you to be able to play a part in this whole health structure. How many people pay NHIF? Can you say? Many people are out of that. But if let's say that everybody gets to pay 100 or 2 or more, at the end of the day, and that is how countries that we look upon. If people go to the US or Europe, you may think, how do these people have all this infrastructure in good order? It's because people pay for it. And it is not when these systems are being put, they're not popular. They're not popular. And it takes a person. It takes a person with real courage to be able to do something that the people will not be appreciative, knowing that there is something that will come back to be of benefit in the future. That is my take. If there would be change of mind, I may change my mind. But at this present time, I think there is hope.
Mr. D, I want you to hold your
Can I add
thoughts.
something?
I want you to hold your thoughts for a minute. I want to add Kenneth here on the line. There are some people using bundles. You can stay for so long talking. But Kenneth, karibu sana. Tell us where you are listening us from, and
Yes.
and please
Hi,
greet the
Nick.
panelists.
Hi, Nick. Kenneth. I'm listening from UK.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I like the way Yuguna talked, and I wanted to add something.
Yes.
Me, I fully support Ruto's government. I know this is something that some people were not expecting. I've been speaking with a lot of people from other countries, and the cost of living crisis is worldwide. Even here in UK, people are struggling. If you go to the supermarket to buy things, when you see the total amount that comes in, you are shocked. 2 days ago, I was talking to someone from Nigeria, and they were saying that their exchange rate is going so high. The same in Ghana, the same in South Africa, the same. So this cost of living crisis is something that is global. So I think it's something that it's a motive right now in Kenya. People are crying that it's because of the government that the cost of living is high, which is not. Something else that is also contributing to the cost of living in Kenya that it's making it to go so high is because of the loans that were taken in by the previous government. It is true that Kibaki inherited a poor economy that Moi had left, but he did not inherit a lot of loans. So that is why Kibaki was able to turn around things to set Kenya to a good economy by then.
But currently, Uhuru invested heavily on assets that are long-term, roads, the infrastructure. This takes time to give back to the economy. It takes many years to give back, but the loans are due immediately. So most of the loans are due like this year. So for Ruto to manage to navigate in paying these loans and getting other loans, even in your personal finances, you'll find that for you to get good credit ratings, you must be repaying back your loans. So Ruto had to. He can't default on the loans which Kenya had committed to. So he has to pay back those loans. So in the process of paying back those loans, for him to get more loans, he has to pay back the loans that had already been taken by the previous government. And IMF came up with a strategy to ensure that Kenya is on good track in terms of credit records. So credit ratings. So IMF advised the government that you need to pay your loans, and for you to pay your loans, you need to look for ways at which you can get some cash flows to get some to get some tax. So that is why there are many taxes that are coming in this administration. What I don't support is the spendthrift of the government, where Ruto moves in and out of the country, like every week is outside the country, and the government officials are heavily spending. Like you see people changing their wardrobe, people buying new things, which that is something that everybody struggle with in Kenya. Even you as a person, if you are given an opportunity to serve, you get new money, you kind of have to buy things or have to steal as if there is no tomorrow. So people have that notion, that mentality that it is now our time to eat, it's not our time to eat, which I think it's something that it's a cultural thing. So I think we need to give them time. A year is not good enough. It's not adequate enough. Let's give them maybe the next 2 to 3 years, and then we see. And I'm optimistic that after this global things of cost of living has gone down or are settled, maybe the government will be on the track.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. And at this juncture, I'd like to Mr. G. But first of all, wacha tukunywe maji kidogo. Well, viewers, welcome back to Afrique 24. This is your #1 channel that addresses the issue of African politics. Today, we are diving into Kenyan politics. We are going to look at, we are looking at how the scorecard after 1 year of William Ruto and why the people of Kenya are really complaining. We have heard Mr. Kenneth saying it very clearly that there are debts that need to be paid. When you go to a bank like IMF, they were to negotiate with them. They will ask you, how are you going to pay the previous loans? Or how are you going to pay this money that we are adding on top of a loan? Then you come up with your proposal. If they agree with it, they'll give you the money. But I remember Kenya had reached a point where the IMF could not borrow, Kenya could not borrow any money from the IMF. Domestically, they had exhausted all the banks. They could not borrow from any local bank. So they had to come up with a measure. And that is what Kenneth is saying, that deni lazima ilipwe, na inchi lazima iendelee. And Ayub also reiterated and said, these are takes courage. These are facts. These are not being on the side of government or trying to sugarcoat anything. We are a country in debt. We are in a country in debt, and the debt has to be paid. So what did the IMF advise? Put some taxes on consumption of fuel. And that is why the fuel is not going to come down any time soon, because it is pegged on the negotiations with IMF. Those are negotiations that the country did with internationally, with the lenders. They're called our development partners. Any country has a development partner, and IMF, World Bank are one of them. Mr. G, can you, or Mr. Giovanni, any who is ready?
Mr. Nick,
Yes, you have not spoken for a while, Giovanni. Can you say something?
Allow me also get into the discussion again on
Yes.
what Kenneth has said. I hope this is Kenneth Omolo.
Yes, Kenneth
My
Okello
brother
Molo.
in US. Very good. Kenneth, you are saying that the current regime is paying debt that was borrowed by the past regime. My question to you, is this regime, are we currently, is Ruto repaying the loans and are not borrowing? Do you know that the government, the UDA government, has borrowed more than what Uhuru left as debt? Are you aware that the government is also borrowing loans, and we currently have a lot of loans that we have borrowed, contrary to what you are saying that we are paying debts?
Just to respond to that, Kevin, there is a fallacy that Ruto's government has borrowed more than Uhuru government borrowed. That is wrong. It's called what? The comparison was that it is in the media. The comparison was that the government in this 1 year has borrowed more than what Uhuru's government borrowed in 1 year. It is not that this government has borrowed amount that is more than what Uhuru's government borrowed in 10 years. That is wrong. Just check your facts. It is that the comparison was that this government, since its inception to now, that is 1 year, it has borrowed more than what Uhuru's government borrowed within that 1 year of its administration. Which, if you look at the cost of living and the amount of money, it's called the value for money. The amount that Kenyan used to use in 10 years ago, it's not the value for money now. If it was 1 billion Kenya shillings that was borrowed in 20 when Uhuru got into government, that amount of money is not equivalent to what it can do now. So it is not good to compare what was borrowed in the first years of Uhuru's administration and what is borrowed in the first years of Ruto's administration. That is like comparing an apple and an orange. Being that they are fruits,
okay.
that does not mean that they have the same nutritional value.
Yes,
And
I hope you've been answered, Mr. Kevin. Do you have any other question?
Okay, my last question now. My last question. Kenneth, now that you're very close to the UDA government,
which is wrong. If somebody has an alternative view, doesn't mean that it supports UDA.
It's okay, fine. Do you know that the UDA campaign on a platform of a bottom up, and the Mamamboga were promised, youth were promised jobs. Do you see any Mamamboga in forming part of the government? Do you see any border on the government?
You know, Kevin,
promised.
There is something that you are misunderstanding. I'm not supporting UDA and I'm not speaking on behalf of UDA. I was just commenting on the reasons behind the high cost of living in Kenya currently. And I'm saying that there is the reasons why there is a high cost of living in Kenya currently has nothing to do with the current government, it has something to do with the current government, but there are many factors that contributes to it. And Ruto's administration has little to do with it, because it is something that is accumulative from the previous government, and it's something that is global. So they blame, they also have responsibility. They have responsibility to kind of navigate through this. But we also need to acknowledge that there are other factors that are contributing to the current cost of living. And even Raila's administration or any other administration could be in the same situation.
Wow. Today, I mean, most of the questions are being answered with the facts. You know, one of the areas that me and Mr. G have always been debating on is the issue that Kevin has just raised. That why is it that the Mamamboga are not in Ruto's cabinet? I think you took it literally that the Wilbaro community or the Aslas will be in government. the whole idea, Ruto borrowed this idea from American elections. Like Biden used to say, they want a trickle-down economy, from up to bottom, like to tax heavily the billionaires, so that services to the poor can be manageable. Well, it is true. I saw today the cost of health is going to be 300 shillings. Yeah, that has not been there before. So about free healthcare, that is something that a government needs to do for its people. About housing, that is something that I see Kenyans complaining about it, but it is a necessity. If you go to a modern society, you'll find that housing is a necessity provided by the government. Where Kenneth lives in the UK, they have affordable housing. And if you are 18 years old and you are born in the US, in the UK, the government has got an obligation of providing for you accommodation. And they pay only £12. If you've got children who are 4 or 5 who are over 18, you only go to the social welfare and say that, these children can no longer live in my house. And the government will plead with you to give them time so that they find alternative accommodation for them. Kevin, am I wrong or right? Kenneth, am I wrong on
Nick,
that issue?
to some extent,
you are right, because the government is
free medical healthcare. But this is not applicable in Kenya. It can't apply in Kenya. Maybe in the US, in the UK, it's applicable. The issues that Kenya has at hand is not about having the issue that Kenya has as you speak or at hand is not a matter of having a decent house. What we want to hear is the cost of living going down, food coming down. We want to hear free medical cover to the learners and to all Kenyans. We want the issue of unemployment addressed. How will you live in a decent house when you don't have a job? How do you live in a decent house when you can't afford school fee? Places like in the UK or USA are first-class countries. You can't compare with them, Kenya. We need to fix the economy of Kenya first before we talk about housing plan.
All right, Kevin, hold your thoughts there. That is a very, very important issue.
Can I respond?
Giovanni, please. No.
Can I respond?
Let Giovanni.
Okay.
Giovanni, your mic has a problem, and we can't hear you. I don't know why you have a problem. That's the reason why it's so difficult to put you on air. People want to hear your points. Kenya Revolutionary is saying that he wants to hear Giovanni talk. I know Giovanni has a lot of wisdom that is oozing, but he has not spoken for a while. I can't hear you still. Giovanni, I can't hear you still. Keep on trying. Log out and come back. Giovanni, please log out and come back. People want to hear from you. Log out and come back. Maybe it will work. I can't still hear you. We can still hear from you. Thank you.
Can I say something about Kevin's point on cost of living?
Yes, Kenneth. Can you say it?
The cost of living, he's saying that about affordable housing is not reducing cost of living, and the administration is not reducing cost of living. Basic needs, just going to basic needs. Basic needs is food, housing, and clothing.
Yes.
So when you build more houses in Nairobi and you build more houses in Homa Bay or any other town, there is ripple effect. When supply is high, demand becomes low and the cost is affected. Currently, where I stay in Nairobi, you are likely to see one house vacant in a flat, and that has affected the rent. So currently the rent are stagnant. It's not going up or not going down. But the moment that the supply will be adequate or will be enough, you will find that the cost of housing will go down. The rent will go down. That is a way of reducing cost of living, which I think, to me, it's something that could be working. And this one was started by Uhuru with the affordable housing, and that has kind of reduced the rent in Nairobi and other parts of the country. Investment in agriculture and production is something that is also a way of reducing cost of living. And if you look at a packet of flour, the unga, which was there by the time Uhuru administration, if you forget about the subsidies, the unga 100.
Mzalendo, can you hear me now?
Yes, you're okay now.
Okay, so the unga is also going down, and that, I think, with the overproduction of maize, that is going to reduce the cost.
Mzalendo, can you hear me now?
But the problem with the fuel, as I had said, there is a way of collecting tax, which I think maybe sooner, if it goes down, then the cost of living will stabilize in Kenya. Okay, bye.
All right. Thank you, Giovanni. Can you come in before we lose your voice once again? There's so many people in the comment section who want to hear your oozing wisdom. Yeah, karibu.
Yeah. Now, what I wanted to say, and let me take this time first and foremost to appreciate what my fellow panelists has also said. In particular, Ayub, and also Bwana G, and also there was a guy Kenneth. There was a day we had this kind of a conversation earlier. I think it was either last week, but one. And we had said the problem bedeviling our country is not basically, it's not the system question. It is the human factor. If we can be able to change the way we do our stuff, the way we work, the way we do our things, in particular, the kind we used to elect people back in wakati wa Moi. But every time we used to elect those people, they used to change and become something different. And we used to think that multi-party kikuja, then things will change. But actually, they did not change. The problem is not about the system. We brought a new constitution, but the problem is still keep chasing us. The problem is not Ruto. The problem is not the system. The problem is Ruto. The problem is Raila. The problem is me. The problem is you. We need to change ourselves, the core human nature. Now, when you go back, when you look at the advanced countries back in the US or the UK, those people, it is the spirit within the people. When you look at the people, first and foremost, it's what it is the demeanor, the disposition, the character of the person. They elect the character of the person. But here in Kenya, what do we elect? We elect money. We elect thieves. You know, fortunately or unfortunately, and we are seeing it now, our former president, Bwana Uhuru, used to tell us that this guy ameiba huku, amefanya hivi, but hatukusikia. You know, in as much as the Kikuyus are trying to beat their chest, I'm also a Kikuyu, but we have to, the reality of the ground is this. Right now, niko Geshagi, and I can tell you, the people ambao wanaumia zaidi ni Wakikuyu, our people, our children, our brothers, our sisters, our fathers, our mothers. There is no economic progress going around the Mount Kenya region. But they did not listen. And when they were told that this guy will steal this, will steal the other, will steal the others, and what they said, what did they say? Walisema huyo mwizi ndio tunataka. Now, it is because it reminds me back when the children of Israel chose, they were told by God that if you want a king, the king will come and he'll take away your children to war. he will tax you. He will take your daughters to marriage, be concubines, and ABCD and so forth. But the children of Israel said, no, we still want a king. And so God gave him their king. They gave him Saul. And what did Saul do? He messed up. He messed up and messed up, and he messed them completely. Now, fast forward. I've listened to Ayub, what he had said about, he has faith. Can I ask him in particular, does he understand the word faith? Faith basically does not just happen. You can say you have hope, but you cannot say you have faith, because faith comes by hearing, and hearing by fact. So when we have faith in God, we have faith because of the word of God. We have seen what God has done in our lives. We have known what God has done in our lives. He has faith in this government. What has this government done for him? In Kikuyu, there is a phrase we usually say, "Gari emenyekaga na mukunyire wayo." Let me paraphrase it. That the leopard cannot change the way it claws and it prowls. Two words, crows and prowls. You will know there is a leopard when you see the paws on the ground. You understand what I'm saying? So when they were told about the government of Ruto, the incoming government of UDA, they were told, look at those people, the way the bandwagon within the confines of Ruto. And Mugo is a teacher of the word. And one thing he understands is, the Bible says that in the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. The other thing also, this is the general knowledge within the confines of the general understanding, that show me your friend and I'll show you your character. So within the confines, within the friends of Ruto, the people who are surrounding Ruto, what kind of characters were they? And what have they turned out to be? So me, there's one thing I will never do, Bwana Mzalendo. I'll never complain about of this government, because that what they are doing is exactly what I expected them to do. You cannot go planting maize, then you expect it to harvest beans. So in particular, the position is, we have to change the kind of persons we are, the kind of character we are. How do we work? When we are given responsibility, like the MPs, they are given CDF, like sub chiefs and chiefs. There is a money and responsibility they are given. How do they dispense that? But you cannot come telling me that we are going to change the system. The system has never been a problem, because before the system even come, tulikuwa na system our way of our forefathers, and it used to work. Our fathers, our great grandfathers used to marry many wives, and they used to be contented. They were happy. The homestead were good and ABCD. So it's not about the system. The system has never been a problem. The problem has always been the individuals. Mugo has to change. He was talking about that he was disappointed, and he was disappointed with Kibaki when he was starting his reign. But I can remember, because he is my friend, I can remember the man never used to support Mr. Kibaki even before. He supported Uhuru Kenyatta. What happened? What changed? You understand what I'm saying? So it's not the
Giovanni, can I say something? You're
Yes,
absolutely wrong in saying that Ayub never supported Kibaki. I remember we were in the middle of Kibaki campaigns, and we did a lot with Mr. Mugo. Maybe we'll
Mugo supported Uhuru. Mugo was here. The monkey is here.
That we were given.
Can I? I am here. Okay. When
the
you're
organ
talking about
grinder
me
is
and I'm
here.
here,
The
so
organ
wouldn't it be
grinder
just proper?
the organ grinder is
It
here.
would be
He
prudent.
was supporting Uhuru.
I am here.
Uhuru.
I am here, and I think it was.
Giovanni, can you finish your statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'd like to have some response.
What I was saying is that he never supported Kibaki even earlier on. He was supporting, so the kind of disappointment basically was for the reason that the man never even elected him. So it is wrong for him to come back and say that he was disappointed because of Kibaki. He never elected Kibaki. He elected Uhuru. So the same things, that's what I'm saying. That I, for one, I'm not disappointed with the UDA government. Actually, I'm even surprised the country has not even gone to the dogs. And I remember, you can even talk to Ayub and he can tell you, I told him, Mogo, you did this, you're going to regret. Every Kenyan right now is regretting. I told them, and I remember I kept saying that even we Kikuyus, in as much as we want to have our own way, in as much as we are angry with Uhuru, but we should ask ourselves, is this the right course of action we need to take? So what I can say, for avoidance of doubt, actually, I'm very happy with the UDA government. I was expecting by this time tumekuwa invaded by Somalia. Actually, the truth. Actually, ati nashangaa ati sijui KCC inauzwa, sijui KPC inauzwa. I was expecting such kind of things. Ask my friend Ayub, he'll tell you. Actually, I think God is merciful with us.
Okay, I'd like Arai to respond.
Ayub, can you have a chance to rebut on?
Yes, I am. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay. Now, number one, I'd like to say, there is a God in heaven, and my friend, Mr. Giovanni. I know him, and he knows very well that in his short life, he has not made as much money as he has made in the times of this regime, and God has been very faithful to him, showing him that even as you malign and as you talk ill of my doing, I will still do it for you because He is a merciful God. Now, having said that, when I we are endowed with a mind to think and eyes to see, and when we see, we have a brain that makes analysis. The things that we see, that we are seeing happening. First of all, there's one of the panelists, I can't remember the name, who said something that I concur with. That when you look at this government, it's a bit disappointing because there are elements that are going against what we would desire. Number one is the expenditure, the spendthrift nature, because it's going overboard. Not that in any way that I am supporting this government saying that everything is hunky-dory. I know these are politicians, and when we started this discussion, I said that it came to dawn on me that we as Kenyans have a culture of deception, and not only Kenyans. I think the political landscape is littered with deception, and it happens all the time. And in some way, the government of William Ruto has the ability and the skill of deception, which works very well for them. But having said that, on the other side, there is the element of goodwill. And I'm saying this because, as I'm saying, we have been given a brain to think. When you see, I look at some of their policies and some of the steps they are making and where the country is vis-a-vis the world. And I can say that I have hope. And apart from having hope, I have faith. My brother has said that faith you have to see. And I want to do what? to dispel that kind of thought, because as a believer he should know that faith actually goes without seeing, because you're going with something that is coming from intuition, from inside you. Having said that, I'm saying that where does my hope, where am I seeing, what is giving me hope in this whole that we are seeing? First of all, I'm very disappointed on some people. There are some people I wish who are not there. Man from Nyeri, those sides, who is, I really don't like that man. He's a letdown. But I see Ruto with a commitment to make some change. It may not be seen and it may not be popular, me say anybody seeing and hearing this. Let me give one example. You hear about the housing projects, the affordable housing projects. And what do we do as Kenyans? As we said earlier, we have the culture of complaining. What is that? Why? Who needs a house? Blah blah. All those things. But let me ask a question for those who would want to maybe just put some thought in this. Who is the biggest spender in a nation? It is the government. And government has the ability to collect taxes and find ways of how the taxes can get into the people's pocket. How does the money get from government to the people's pocket? It gets from the government to the people's pockets. Number one, from salaries. Yes, that happens. How does it make more money into the people from the system that it can put money in the people's pocket through projects that will in some way have a quick return, that have a system of quick return, but at the same time utilize the resource in the nation that will trickle down this money, especially not to the rich, but it trickles down to the bottomest person, because like now, for example, if you say, I want to build a road, the problem with the road is this. The road will bring a lot of change. But as our brother said, the time to recover through taxes from that road takes a lot of time. And the people who will build, you will maybe have 10 people using earth movers and all that, and maybe 20. But when you have affordable houses, you're building a house that will employ quite a number of people, because you have all these people that are being paid from the government, and then these people, the money gets into circulation, and then these houses, within some time, they start generating money that will be paid. It is a system that helps to bring money from government through it. It creates a system that brings money to circulation. I think that was a brilliant idea. There also the idea of is coming. It may look very bad because you're saying everybody has to pay, but I'm saying, how does a government, you may say wale watu hawana pesa watafanya aje? Definitely there is a system for that. Definitely there is a way that if you have no income, truly, just like the way bursaries happen, if you truly don't have income, there is a system that will be able to be mitigated. What I'm trying to say is this: there are all these other programs that I'm seeing, mostly from the president, not from many other people, from the president. I'm seeing him having a focus that would help. I'm saying this because there is a trade that he has impacted that is benefiting me, because I'm a creative. Every creative works that have been coming from China is triply taxed. I am happy because I know artists, artisans, and people who create products are going to get money. Because imagine when you used to go to the supermarket and every furniture there is from China. Can you imagine? And we have people who can do that. I like it that there are systems that I'm seeing that with time these things will bring a change. And for that I have some hope. I have some hope that there'll be a difference. And also the other thing is that, we are seeing that Ruto is going to get loans and all that, and probably we may not understand what are these loans for. These are not loans to projects. These are loans to run the government and probably cushion the times that we need to pay the loans that we have. It helps the government to be able to stand still, to be not to collapse, be able to cushion itself from the loans that have already done what. They are ready for repayment, and also run the government. And running the government, you need money, but this money is gotten within a short time. These are loans that are being paid within months. You'll be able to get this money and repay them and be able to have the government cushioned. Yes, he must borrow for that kind of season. And that is what IMF is giving Kenya. It's not giving Kenya money to go build roads. That's not the kind of expenditure that we're getting like we had other times, which was good. And I believe the investment that Uhuru did for Kenya will be very beneficial in the long term, and we continue to see it and maybe celebrate it one time. But at the moment, it is painful because it happened that way. What I believe is that within not a very long time, there will definitely be change in our nation. Yes.
All right.
Mr.
Thank you.
Nick.
Thank you.
Can
Thank
I
you,
say
Ms.
something? Can I say something? I've been quiet for a long time.
Mboro,
Yeah, I don't
I'll
have
allow
much
you.
time. I
I
want to
will.
go.
I will allow you to say something in just 30 seconds. Kevin, go ahead. Kevin.
Mr. Nick, I don't know whether Mr. Ayub Njuguna is hearing me. I don't know whether
Yes, he is hearing you. He's hearing you.
he's okay. Thank you. Mr. Nick,
I am hearing you.
Ayub Njuguna has talked so well, huh? And I want to maybe appreciate that he has the hope that the country will be fixed. But there's something that Mr. Njuguna is not stating clear. And maybe he's playing some mind game and maybe politics to other Kenyans who are already inflicted by the high cost of living. Mr. Ayub is talking about the project that the government is putting.
Kevin, you are hanging. I think network issues.
I
Kevin
can't
is
hear
hanging
you.
up. We can't hear you now. Kevin, maybe log in and come back. Kamburu, please, before you forget what you are going to say, can you come in as Kevin arranges his gadget?
Thank you, Mr. Mzarendo.
To absorb the youths.
Kevin, are you okay now? We could not hear you. You are static. There is something that is wrong either with your network or your phone. We can barely hear what you're saying at this point. I think you have a network issue. Kevin, go ahead. Make it
I'm back
fast.
now.
Yeah, you're back now.
My
Make it fast.
My question now, Mr. Ayub Njuguna. How will the housing project scheme help in employment of youths? How many youths are employed or will be absorbed by the housing scheme? And which type of employment? Will it be a permanent employment or how will it be? You are not putting it clearly. Because what I know, what Ruto said about the housing scheme is that the youth will get a kamjengo. And I don't know how this mjengo will last. I don't know how it will solve the problem of unemployment.
Can I answer that?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, just a minute. I fix my microphone. Okay, let me say this. There's a time I worked in a housing project, and I recognized some few things. You see, a fundi in a mjengo, when the fundi gets the work to start kutoka kwa foundation and takes that time that until that building is going to get finished, that fundi makes good money, honestly. Let's say it's being paid 1,500 a day for work, and it goes on for, let's say, 15 months or let's say 10 months. That by the time he is through with that is why you find most fundis have motorbikes, because they are able to create some money out of that. So apart from the fundis, how many people are going to work there as watu wa mkono? How many people are going to be when Ruto is saying this? Because we don't like him, we don't like to hear him mention these things, because they are not very, he's not at the moment the most likable person in Kenya. But truly what he says is true. In that housing project, you have probably how many fundis? Let's say in one unit, you have maybe like 10 fundis. You have then about 20 mutu wa mkono. Then you have plumbers. Then you have carpenters. Then you have all these people are going to stay there maybe for 10 months. By the time they finish those units, those people have some good money in their pocket. They can be able to make some investment. These are the people that when you are saying the cost of living is low, they are saying that, but they know that there is something that truly is happening that is better for me. And I want to say this: the template itself that creates this housing project idea is not new to Ruto. This is something that has happened in many countries, even the US. There's a time that they built what they call the projects in the US, and it was a very big scheme that helped to utilize the people who are now the people that we say they are minorities. This is something that happened in China. You know, China, how China was able to grow, honestly, and you can check this from other sources. China grew on the pedestal of building. They were able to invest more on building engineers, and they built. In fact, today, China is destroying the buildings that they built at that time because they were able to kickstart that economy that was transformed in less than 10 years from a third world country into a first world country through building. China poured more cement in building its country than the whole world put together. And that in itself helped build that nation. That is why today, when you want to build a skyscraper or where do you go for engineers? You go to China, even not only Kenya, even in the US. They go to seek because they have done that. It is a system and a strategy that works. Today, we may not be very happy when it's happening, but I think ours is a microcosm. It's a small thing. It's not as big as would happen in China, but it can have its own impact in our economy as we give it time.
Mr. Ledo, can I add to what Ayuba said? Just one second.
Kenneth, that's all your thought. I think Mboro is going to give up because it is 1 a.m. in Missouri. He's almost drifting to sleep. Mboro, can you say something?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Mzalendo. I'll begin by saying, one, I'm not expecting those who did not support the forming of the UDA government or the Kenya Kwanza government to be supporting it now. So the government has both those who have the goodwill to see it succeed and those who desire to see the government fail, and if possible, how it can even die before its time for the next general election. And that is why we have been having so many problems in Kenya. That even yesterday I listened to Murathe, and he was saying he is still in shock and he has never healed. And he has never even believed that William Ruto is the president of Kenya. And that's why you hear they're even planning to start another round of maandamano and such kind of things. And there are so many. So I am not surprised when I hear people who will never see anything good from the Kenya Kwanza government. I'm one of those people who supported William Ruto, not only supporting by going to an extra mile, even campaigning vigorously for him to become the president. And to be honest, to our viewers and to my fellow panelists, I'm very proud with the president that I voted for. That today, when William Ruto stands on an international stage, he leaves a legacy. He has become admirable by the whole of the world because of his brilliance. Can we imagine our president is in a position to internalize, interrogate, and understand the framework, the IMF framework, and he is in a position to identify exactly where the problem is. And it has become a big debate in the global stage that he has, through his wisdom, because I can tell you for sure, we have very few people, if any, in the world who can reason at the level at which William Ruto can reason. He is on a level of himself that even other presidents, especially in Africa, they are looking upon him as a savior because they have been there, some of them, for many years, but they have never identified where exactly the problem has been. And right now, the IMF is restructuring its system and procedures, even the leadership and everything, because of the level at which our president has been able to articulate the issues of Africa and how Africa has been suffering because of the loans that they have been taking from IMF and other institutions, international institutions. And even they are planning to come up with another framework for a new monetary fund framework to ensure that Africa does not pay more because it has been identified as a risky place to invest or to even give loans. So we pay like 8 times or even more than what Western countries pay. And that is why you see our loans become a very huge burden to us. Having said that, I listened to my good friend Giovanni. When he said that our former president Uhuru Kenyatta warned us, but we did not listen to him. I want to say here, without fear of contradiction, Uhuru Kenyatta was just jealous of his deputy by seeing how his star was shining, and he was trying to suffocate William Ruto not to continue furthering his ambition. It's so unfortunate that today you are telling us that William Ruto, we were warned that he is a thief by Uhuru Kenyatta, not knowing that if there is a family which has oppressed the nation of Kenya, it is the family of Uhuru Kenyatta. It did not start. It started with the father, and it did not stop there. Even when he became the president, he even became worse. So Uhuru Kenyatta was so selfish of his deputy that he did a lot of atrocities against him. And everybody, I won't even mention those things because everybody saw what he was doing to try to stop his ambition of becoming the president. So whatever advice he gave, it was an ill-advised, motivated by bad motive of making sure that William Ruto does not become the president. Some of the allegations they made, like the Kimwarel Dam, that William Ruto stole billions, they were in the government. Were they in a position to prove? The person who was charged with the mandate of telling us who has stolen what, the director of public investigation, Nudin Haji, came publicly and told Kenyans, according to my investigation, I don't see any involvement of William Ruto in these things. It was political witch hunt. It was character assassination. They called William Ruto names, but does that make him become a thief because they said? Now, apart from that, what option was Uhuru Kenyatta giving us? The option, was it the better option? Can you compare William Ruto and Raila Odinga? I don't think. William Ruto is in a level of his own. You know, we say a good dancer knows when to exit the stage. Raila Odinga is supposed to be exiting the stage and laying down of exiting, not competing with Ruto. I can tell you for sure. Now, as I said, a government has both friends and enemies. Enemies would like the government to die as soon as it starts. And I just want to leave you with the story of Simon Makonde. It's a very sad story of Simon Makonde. We say that he was born on Monday and he was named on Tuesday. He married on Wednesday. On Thursday, he got ill. He was treated on Friday and died on Saturday. There are many people who are wishing that the government of William Ruto may die. But as those who have hope, I am one of those who have hope because I am able to internalize and interrogate the strategies that William Ruto has laid down. And I want people to get used to their president. William Ruto is going for 10 good years. I don't see anybody with the ability of removing Ruto from power. These people that we are being told here by Mr. G, that they are able to see far. And I told Mr. G, they can see nothing. If William Ruto was able to see beyond the DCI, was able to see beyond the CID, he was able to see beyond the system and the deep state. And even today, they are still in shock how he managed to become the president against all odds and against all the things they did to him. I can tell you now that he is the one in charge of the government, I don't see anybody who is able to bring him down. Let them forget all what they are doing. Let us support him. Let us support and have goodwill, because I know William Ruto has a contract of 5 years. He has just begun the contract. We will do their performance appraisal after 5 years, and I can tell you after 5 years, everybody in Kenya will be smiling, because Ruto knows exactly what he is doing. He is a performer. He has never failed even in primary school, secondary, university. He is always at the top, and he will continue to be at the top. That is the hope I have for Kenya to grow, to develop, because that is our home. We don't have any other home. If we desire to fail, it's unfortunate. Let us wish the government well and pray for the government. It is our government, not government of William Ruto. It is our country. If he fails, we have failed. If he succeeds, Kenya has succeeded. And when we are winning, nothing hurts. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Buru. I mean, that was very, very lengthy. And I hope UDA supporters have really enjoyed part of your deliberation. ODM definitely and Azimio are not happy. Kevin, I can see, is not really happy what you say. And Woodgilando, welcome to Afrique 24. I know this is your first time on this particular channel. And guys in the comment section, please like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and be part of this wonderful Afrique family. Please, if you are among the panelists here, don't forget to leave your contact so that when we start our programming, you will be notified with that bell on Afrique. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, please. And that is the only way you motivate us to come here and talk about our country. We love our country so much, depending on which side you are on. We don't really care whether you are in Azimio or in Kenya Kwanza. This is the platform for you. This is where you will get a lot of wisdom from the FFM party leader, a lot of wisdom from Missouri, Geoffrey Muru, and Kenneth, of course, from the UK, telling us a lot. And not forgetting Ayub Njuguna, the Githunguri farmer who started the show, and Giovanni, the designer. So you, Mr. Woodgilando, please welcome to the show and greet the panelists. Tell us where you are listening to us from and who you are. Karibu sana.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Nick, as I have identified one of the persons that I can see by physical appearance. I know them. I'm glad to see you in this conference again. I remember this is not the first time, but there was a time in the past months I joined the same channel. Only that I'm not a frequent attender. Yeah. Now, by identity, I'm Uchi Nogola. I'm joining live from Kenya, that is Thika. But I was really feeling to make a comment before the latter concluded and exit. It is quite unfortunate that I cannot see him in the connection, but I wanted to maybe make a comment.
He's listening to you. I'll just bring him. The forum is there. Buru is there. You can listen to him. He's there now. You can see him.
Okay, thank you. Like I heard in his statements, he was strongly advocating or defending the Kenya Kwanza government, but I want him to believe that not all the time that your opponent has lost against you, then they become blind or myopic to see something that is coming or a danger ahead. It is so open to us that the Kenya Kwanza government, without criticizing with emotions, a project that you can have a project to demolish or construct. So whenever he paints the Kenya Kwanza government to be having a project and performing so well in their project, they are performing extremely well in demolishing, not constructing the Kenya. Like the other guy who preceded him, was talking about the housing project, like with estimation of 1,005 for the fundi wa mjengo. Not bearing in mind that these fundi wa mjengo are doing this in areas around town with a high cost of transport. They have expenses at home. They have their kids to look after. And then you want to estimate 1,500 per day as a huge amount. How much is that? So don't just crown things in bulk so that they look big in a small lens. It is not so. Number two, there is a project of scam that the president of the Kenya is spreading to Kenyans to buy. That is job creation to with bilateral countries like Saudi Arabia and other countries abroad like USA. So this is just to be is coming in front of the television to tell people that he has such project to Kenya youths. But this is specifically for the Kalenjins. If you look at the population of Kalenjins in Australia, they even have a church, right? This is not meant for normal mwananchi, the one you know. If it is so hard to find a small job in Kenya, who is now cheating you that you are going to find another one in the US or in the Saudi Arabia through the government of William Ruto? All right? There is a common Kiswahili proverb that says, "Nyani ahoni kondole." Right? I hope all of us are eloquent in Kiswahili speaking. Nyani haoni kondole.
Nyani haoni kundule.
Kundule, yeah. And I would want that to reflect to the person that I was trying to listen to before I was given opportunity, that even if they are in the front line to make such mistakes that we are seeing from behind, that does not mean they are wiser than those who are behind them. A soldier in the front line is to be pulled aside by the back soldier, and we are the opposition, the back soldiers. After election, Kenya remains for us. You do not segregate because your man won, so that you take credit of all the advices. You are in the front line and remain in the everything. That is not. Another thing that I would want to finalize with, this is a government of Wongo. If during the inaugurations, the project itself, the inauguration budget for the president itself was to a tune of almost 200 million. Then they came, after getting into the office, they came to announce to the public that the central bank of Kenya had around 98 million. How is that possible for a country to have 98 million and civil servants were paid, teachers were paid, doctors were paid, the county government fundings operated? What did they mean in saying such kind of statements? This is a government of scammers, wash, without emotions or feeling. I'm saying so. Leave Uhuru Kenyatta to be a man. He was never an imperialist. Uhuru Kenyatta was democratically elected twice by the people who are today condemning him, like the one here. If Uhuru Kenyatta were bad, why didn't they identify that in his first term?
Well,
yes,
that is your opinion. That is your opinion, Wodgilano. We hear you. Mr. G, at this juncture, I would like you to come in. You've aligned some videos there. I don't know at what point you want me to play them. I have seen the one for TikTok, the one for, which one do you want to start with?
Okay, I will start with the second last. You know, Uhuru has been raising himself here akituambia kuwa he's so proud of this guy, of this president, for what he's doing. And I think he's just
the one,
alone.
do you want to play the one with the lady lamenting?
Leave alone. No, start with the one Mzee lamenting first.
The one Mzee lamenting.
Yeah, the second
Gachagua ndiye ameuza wa Kikuyu. Gachagua ametuuza, ametumaliza. Wacha tuseme ukweli. Sema ukweli mzee. Sasa ujumbe wake wa mwisho ni hii. Gachagua na Ruto alitakanya watu wakiwa kwa kanisa. Watu sasa wanalala njaa. Watoto hadi shule. Wakati Ruto aliingia, alituahidi kurudisha vitu chini. Ikaenda zaidi juu. Na aliapa akiwa kwa madhabahu ya kanisa. Alikuwa anasema kwa kanisa. Akasema kila kitu kitakuwa chini. Alitakanya Mungu. Alitakanya nani? Sasa wanataka kushikana na Raila. Sio mseme Raila iko uongozi hata Raila anataka kazi tu na watu yake. Kwa hivyo mimi natuma ujumbe kwa Raila asikie. Vile ametakanya kwa Ruto. Sio kwa Raila. Kwa Ruto asikie na Kimani Chungwa. Na nani hii serikali amepea Kikuyu? Dede Nyoro. Moses Kuria. Na huyu wa Moro anaitwa Kuria. Kwanza hii ya Moro ni mimi nilisomesa ni hapa pale Mkinyai. Tulikuwa tunaitwa Mchago tunaenda. Mpaka university. Sasa naahidi kwa hiyo Kikuyu na Gachagua. Gachagua ndiye ameuza wa Kikuyu. Gachagua ametuuza, ametumaliza.
That is
very unfortunate.
That's the man from Central Kenya. And here, Uhuru is saying that he's proud of this government because it's working. And because some international people want to clap for him, akiongea, he's a best strategist. Play the last clip, 3%.
Rais alikuwa anatuambia ati anatoa mama mboga kutoka chini aende juu. Sasa tunaona ni kama sasa sisi anatutoa huko juu anaturudisha chini, sisi ndio tunamuinua sasa. Tumechoka kabisa. Kama sisi mama mboga tumechoka, tumebeba gunia mpaka tumechoka. Hapa penye nimekaa ninaongea na niko na huzuni sana. Ile penye yako ajue mama mboga tumechoka na hata hatumtaki sasa, na hiyo ni rais yake. Mimi sitaki kabisa kwa upande wangu, simtaki.
Hao ni wananchi wa Kenya wakilalamika juu ya gharama ya maisha. They are really complaining that the cost of living has gone up and this government is not doing anything better. So we, the wananchi, have got a responsibility to inform our leaders of what we expect of them. I told you earlier on, Mr. G, to go and look at what Kibaki did for the cost of living during his term. And you can go to the answer in the parliament and see what parliament was able to do. The current parliament, as I repeat, is ineffective. It is very, very ineffective. It does not address the cost of you and me. It does not address the people that they represent. They are there for their stomachs and they are there for their political leaders. I want you to really go back and see what Parliament was able to do during that particular time. And you'll understand that this issue of cost of living does not really depend on the government fully, but it depends on the representatives who are supposed to create laws that will ease the burden to the citizen. Mr. G, take it on.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to rebut on what I think it was the other panelist. I have forgotten his name. He's out of the panel, but he talked about being encouraging and having hope on this government by saying that this government has a good plan for wananchi wa Kenya, talking about the issue of NHIF. The president promised everyone will have an NHIF. What this guy told us when he came into power. He promised us, I think it was it on September? Yeah, I think it was on September when he came into power. And he told us by December, each and every person will have NHIF. Now it's 1 year. Back on the line, no one. In fact, those people who had the NHIF are the only one who are having the same NHIF. Hakuna kitu ambaye ameleta. And then he giving us an example, telling us that the government has a good plan for these people. Which plans does this government have for our people? The same government, former government, we had something called Linda Mama, whereby people were going to school, were going to hospital, like the mamas, walikuwa nenda wanazaa bila kulipa pesa yote. The same government came and removed the Linda Mama. Sahi mtu akienda kuzaa mpaka alipe pesa, and he's talking now about the NHIF. Who will think that this guy is talking the truth? Hakuna mtu anaweza believe this government because the people believe in lies. Juzi akisimama 2 days ago akiambia watu kuwa unga imerudi ati wakati wa uhuru ndio wakati ambao ilikuwa 250. You know, the guy is in total darkness. He's just blind that he doesn't see. Now when Mburu comes and tells us that he's proud of this government, I think it's because he's not in Kenya. Na hapiti what people are passing through in Kenya. Because right now everything has gone a mess in Kenya, and I think we need to have a solution. But now I'm looking at few leaders who have come out na wanaongea kuhusu mambo ya revolution and impeachment. Although impeachment, as I said earlier, impeachment may never work at the moment because of how the parliament is at the moment. But now, issue of revolution. Who can lead this revolution that will make us succeed in what we want? Mburu said that our Baba doesn't see far. I think just that hatred that Mburu has, but you see it kuongea tu ati kwa sababu ya darkness. I think there's something hatred behind it. Ndio anasema kuwa Baba haoni mbele. Who saw that this government is going to fail? Who told us that the government is going to fail? That the government will never succeed? Who told us? And Baba also told us. Sai, what is happening? Back to you, Mr. Mzalendo.
Thank you. I mean, Jakes, can you, Jakes, if you can hear me, can you put your camera on? Jakes, Jakes, please come around, put your camera on. Yeah, we've had a very good discussion, and I believe we've done 3 hours of this discussion. We're almost winding it up. Jakes will take over from here and continue with other panelists who are willing to come into the show. Now, Mr. G, today you learned so much.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We don't know why your camera is not on, my brother.
At the moment, I'm in a place I'm not well for, how do I put it? Allow me to be this way for now, maybe until a few minutes from now.
All right, okay, yeah, you can just stick around and help us in the comment section as you engage other people. You can come in. I've been standing in for you. I hope you're going to pay me handsomely for this service. Yeah.
Actually, I've been enjoying the show. I've loved today to watch. It's long since I watched, so being at the side, it's been fun. I've been helping, pushing, and sending the links to as many, and I see some friends are in, and I'm grateful.
Oh, that's nice. That is nice to do it on the side so that we can get many people subscribing into the channel. Woodglanda, I'm very, very glad that you guys were able to join this particular discussion. This is where you get to meet new friends. You get to meet, to connect. Sometimes we are with our local politics, but again, this is a national platform where our leaders also tune in. Right now, I believe Jack's in the numbers we have in Mtembei, you can tell them how much we are doing on all the platforms that this show normally runs. So we are doing quite great, and thank you for the support. People who are on the comment section, Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Goodyear, for always coming around to give us the morale. We don't take this for granted. We appreciate you so much. Kenya Rebel, today you are not able to join Japolo. We hope that you'll join later when we have our show in the night. We had Jamel Musa, asante sana. Josephine Wairimu, asante sana. Usafiri salama, karibu sana kwa Afrika. Jeff Mburu, kama kawaida, he was in the show. I'm sure is now sleeping. On my end, it is 2:51 a.m. in the morning. So we have done a cool 3 hours of this programming since yesterday. I've been on this show talking to you, Mr. G, definitely keeping good company. Today, you didn't have much to talk about, but I hope that tomorrow or later on, you'll be coming burning. We've had other panelists talking about how Kenyans need to come together and choose effective leadership. I'm telling you, we have a problem. We have a problem. We are not independent in our thought. Mr. Wood Gilando, wherever he is not independent in his thinking. He thinks some politician out there thinks on behalf of him. Jakes, whatever he is, he needs to be independent in your thought. You need to know what is right and what is wrong. These politicians have been taking out in us in circles. It is a club. It is a members club. Look at what has come of the bipartisan talk. Today, Azimio is pretending that they're not part of that discussion. Even before the report was out, they were part of that discussion. They've been talking about it. They should have walked away. Mr. G, I don't know what you have to say about it. They should have walked away. Now they're saying that the report was manipulated so that they can certify their case.
Exactly, Mr.
I need to show you the original report from the talk so that we can have a point of information. Because if if it was manipulated, then they should come up with the original report. If we have not seen the original report up to now, then know that it is just politics. We don't want politics. We want the truth out there. And the truth is out there. There was no issue that was going to bring the cost of sugar down. They never talked about sugar. They never talked about flour. They never talked about the fuel, for instance. And Mr. G, I need you to also tell, since you are a very strong supporter of Azimio, tell us what Azimio had proposed on the cost of fuel. What were they proposing? What were they proposing on the cost of living in the bipartisan talks that was not implemented? We really want to hear this. And so many Kenyans out there who did not have a chance to look at the report want to know what Azimio had put on the table that was being countered by Kenya Kwanza. So we want all these things to come out, and then we'll look at what is being tabled and what is going for the referendum. Is it a win-win situation for everybody else, or it's a win-win situation for the political class? Me, my opinion as Mzalendo, it's a win-win situation for the political class. None of our views were represented on that particular table. It was the view of the highest, it was the view of the political class. Creating offices that are unnecessary, certify political egos is a no-go zone for me. That is the no-go zone to me. Kenya is overrepresented. To me, I will tell you, Kenya is overrepresented. We have our MCA who are now going to get a Ward Development Fund. I want you to look at the Ward Development Fund. Who is going to check the MCA? I wish the leader of FFM was here. I wanted to ask him this particular question. When he becomes the MCA or MP of Israel, the MCA of Israel is a ward, who is going to check him on the Ward Development Fund? We have the CDF that we know most MPs are misusing. Then the women also are going to get a fund called Women Fund, or whatever they'll call it. Then we have the senators also want a fund They will call it the Senator's Fund, whatever they'll call it. And of course, we have the Governor's Fund. And all these are going towards bursary allocation, what. It is a complete mess. The Constitution needs to be reviewed and revised at one particular point. Because right now, nobody is going to be able to check the MCA. Or Wodigland, do you have an opinion of how, if an MCA is given 200 million as a World Development Fund, who is going to check this particular leader? And the Constitution never foresaw this. If you have a party controlling a whole county, a particular party as a majority and the majority the governor, how is the governor who is being supported by all the 40 MPs or 30 MPs be checked? Yeah, who is going to do the oversight? Who is going to do the checks and balances on the executive if they are all coming from the same political party? So this is what the Constitution of Kenya never foresaw, and it is corruption devolved at the county level. It is corruption just being devolved, and we are all happy about it. So let us talk about some of these things, especially on the funds that are being proposed on the bipartisan talks. Mr. Kenneth, you've been quiet for a while. Can you say something?
Yes. I don't know where to start from. Let me first of all appreciate the panelists who have been here, and those who have left. There's been a nice contribution. Unfortunately, I'll be leaving in a few minutes, but before that, let me start with what Wodigilando mentioned about. I just wanted to maybe talk about that first. He mentioned something on Kalenjins being in Australia, many of them. Just wondering how miraculous that can be, that within 1 year of Ruto being in government, now many Kalenjins are outside the country. But that is, I don't think that is truthful. Being outside the country, I think it's just about information, which I think the government is trying to encourage people to look for alternative, and that the world is becoming globalized, and labor is moving from one country to another. So I think Ruto signing agreement, President Ruto signing agreement with the countries, and not signing agreement, but just mentioning to countries that there is just as other resources that we have, we also have labor resources that we can export to other countries. I think that is a good thing for our country, Kenya. And then the housing project, I also wanted to mention that I think it to me it's a better deal compared to Kazi kwa Vijana. These are the things that has been there in Kenya. It's just revolutionary. It's just things that are coming up now and again, taking money back to the people through such project. I think it's a good win to the country. I know it might not be kind of sustainable job opportunities, but it has a ripple effect in that it's going to improve the cost of living. And then on the bipartisan talk, just as other panelists have commented on the nature of politicians in our country, me, honestly, I didn't expect anything to come out of bipartisan talk, and I don't expect anything will come out that is positive in terms of related to cost of living, because the genesis of the bipartisan talk, it had nothing to do with the cost of living. Cost of living just came about as it kind of it just gave it momentum. The origin of the demonstration was something about not even electoral justice, but just managing expectations of Azimio's followers, because they didn't expect that they could lose election, and then after losing the election, now they were kind of managing the masses by telling them that there is another way of removing Ruto out of the power, and that one was the initial thought, that they will remove Ruto, or that was what they told us, and they made us believe that they will remove Ruto from power through demonstrations and then going to the State House to physically or the revolution to remove Ruto from office. And then by good luck, the cost of living came up when they were kind of trying to do the demonstration. So I will just encourage people, don't expect anything that is related from the cost of living in the bipartisan talk. It's about position. It's about people getting their cut. And I believe that that is what maybe it didn't get. It just, that is because Kalonzo and his team, they could not, they could have chicken out the negotiation before it ended. So they kind of went through it and signed the deal. After signing the deal, now they are trying to manage the expectation of their followers, telling them that, we had better proportions and the better proposal, and those guys kind of manipulated the report. So in the process, they are kind of going to go to parliamentary meetings, and then they are going to say that, okay, let's have a middle ground. Let's just adopt the report, but with the hope of in future making those changes or something like that. So it is just the tactics of politicians of the nowadays, that they have what they sign what they have signed, and they know what they want, but they know that the public they'll receive a backlash from the public. So they are kind of just managing the expectation of the citizens. So I think let's not be emotive about all this. It is just their nature, and they have gotten what they want, and the leadership was that they want. And Kalonzo and his team, they know very well that they will not win the next election, Ruto being in the government. They know that very well. That is why they want the position of the opposition to be kind of legally binding, so that they can have something for the next 5 years or for the next 10 years, after which now they can. And some people are not happy about that, Wakina Eugene Omalo, because they know very well that, okay, Kalonzo and Raila, or Kalonzo and the next opposition leader is already sorted, but what about them? So those are the intrigues that are coming up. So I didn't expect anything positive from bipartisan talk, and it is just turning out to my expectation, and that is how it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Now, Mr. G, your thought, it is what it is, because, Kenneth put it so well, before I forget, that, politicians they're creating a crisis so that they can implement the recommendation. The crisis is already created. Mr. G is already thinking that Azimio was representing him. They want you to think like that, but that is not the point. Mr. G, go ahead.
No, as much as I can agree with some of points ambazo Kenneth has shared, but some I don't agree with him, because like issue of hizi mambo za viti, I don't think if it is Azimio who came up with that idea or with that ultimatum came from UDA team, and that is the place where they started talking about the issue of opposition leaders' seat and the prime minister's seat. Azimio had almost 4 ultimatum, and I remember it was about I think it was interfering of political parties, which was one of them. Another one, it was the electoral reforms, and I think another one was to audit the presidential election of 2022. So when we say that these people, they agreed just because of use of view, I don't think if we are having the fact right. Azimio never talked about these seats. The seats were brought in by UDA team. Now, because always I have been telling you, Mr. Mzalendo, that we always have a weak leader. Somebody like Kalonzo. Kalonzo is a weak leader. That's why I don't even expect him to be on the ballot as a president, as a presidential candidate of Azimio. This is a weak leader, because I expected if they talk about seats, Kalonzo and the team wangekuwa wa kwanza kutoka kwa hiyo nini.
True. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But no,
mbona wakutoka
hawakutoka na walisaini na wakaagrii wakakubaliana,
mbona hiyo imesainiwa? Hizo signature ni fake.
Yeah, no, signature si fake, but I think
Kalonzo and kama signature si fake, was Baba consulted?
Baba
and what immediately, interestingly, immediately after that report, Kalonzo went to Raila. Now they were in Nyanza too and all that. So it's like it was kind of briefing the leader that this is what we have. And
no, but listening to Baba, Baba has pushed this issue to the people, because he know that no one will stand and listen to them. Hakuna mwananchi atasema anataka hizo mambo ya viti. this thing will be itashindwa. There will be no. So Baba knows that this thing will fail. That's why he's pushing them to the public participation. Na mwananchi amechoka na hii mambo ya vyeo, kwa sababu the same government ambayo iko sahihi, it is the same government used to tell us kwa hao wakija hawakuji kwa mambo ya vyeo, hao wanapigania mwananchi. But now it is the same government that is pushing for this vyeo kila wakati. That's why it was forming the office of of Mudavadi, which was not even in the constitution. The same government is the government that brought in incompetent people. Look at what happened when he was talking about cost of living, the president yesterday. Remember, unga anasema imefika 130. Which unga is that? Is that GMO ama ni gani? You remember earlier, it was earlier this year or late last year, Moses Kuria came out na akatuambia they will bring in GMO. Why? Kwa sababu being a Kenyan citizen, it is alisema alitumia jina fulani akasema it is alitumia jina gani? Ni kama certificate ya kufa, just being a Kenyan. So they have to bring in GMO, kama ni kufa kila mtu atakufa. That is what Nani said, Moses Kuria said. So when they brought in GMO, hii mambo ambayo anaongea sija tuunga ya 30 ya ngapi, I think those are just GMOs that they were talking about. So this government has never had goodwill of the people. And for those people who are supporting it, I don't know if wanafikiria ukweli ama ni please, because most of these people are just pleasing the president. Kwa sababu wanajua ni mtu anapenda kupeana pesa, so they want to eat. Look at what happened on this issue of housing. What happened in Kakamega? Kakamega, we have an MP of Kakamega also. Ambaye nyumba yake ilivunjwa, a house of almost 5 bedroom. And that guy amenunua hiyo shamba, ameishi pale for more than 20 years. How comes when unakuja kubomoa, you come at night? Na kumbuka some few months ago ni huyu nini the deputy president ambaye ni Rigadi alisimama na akawa anasema no demolition should be done without consulting watu wa hiyo area. Ilifaa kunafaa consult hata DC, unafaa consult au wazee wa mtaa. That is what Rigadi Gachagua talked about. How comes sasa watu wanakuja usiku wanabomolewa nyumba alafu wanasema demolishing it to create affordable houses for people ambao hawana nyumba. Uvunjie mtu nyumba ya 5 bedroom na mtu amenunua shamba yake kwa sababu unataka kujenga nyumba ambazo hazieleweki zitaisha lini. I think anyone that is supporting this government is a person that is a lost person.
Okay. I mean, wacha nikunywe maji kidogo as we watch the highlights a bit. All right, that was a slight break. We've done almost 3 hours and 20 minutes. I mean, I really want to wind up this show. It is 3 a.m. here in Virginia, and we need to catch up some sleep. Kesho pia ni siku na sijui Kenya ni saa ngapi saa hii, pengine ni saa 10 huko, saa 9. So saa 5 mchana. We have a show coming up with Ben later, with Jakes later.
Saa 5 dakika 9.
Yeah, we have a show that is coming at 10 p.m. later in the night that will be hosted by Jakes. I think we'll have a different topic from what we discussed today. Now, I would want to give each and every panelist who has been here just 30 seconds to wind up and say their parting shot, even as we say good night, Mali wote huko, good morning, Mali muko. Kenneth, go first. Woody Gilando, go first. You've been so quiet.
Oh, it's okay. In a nutshell, or from the discussion that I got underway, I would give a summary that Kenya belongs to all of us, and we have all the responsibility to take charge of the mistakes we are making deliberately out of ignorance and arrogance. we are living in a society that we are assuming or quoting that we are a democratic country, yet we are divided within the carcass of tribalism. That is hatred amongst ourselves, even if we are going to hide it. That is what is costing us. That is what we are feeling its expense at the right moment or the situation we are currently undergoing. To conclude on that, please let's try in another way. When the elections come, we try to avoid such issues of tribalism. Then we can have the capacity or the vision to elect the right leaders. Thank you.
Thank you. Kenneth?
Yes, just to add on what Giland has mentioned, let's promote unity, and I think it is now thriving in most countries that for a leader to get into power, you must divide people. It is us against them. Like now, currently in these Western countries, they are just talking about immigrants. Their problems are just because of the immigrants. Their problems are just because of other people. And I think that also thrived in our country when you're talking about the hustlers versus dynasties and all that. So at the end of it, these narratives are used by politicians just to enrich them, just to make them electable or make them get what they want. And even this bipartisan talk and all these things are just things that people use to get into leadership positions. So let's not be emotive about them. Let's be rational about them, and let's love each other. Even when we're having such discussions, let's just treat each other with respect, and we are one. These leaders we are fighting for or we are talking harshly against are just in the night they are shaking each other's hand, they are having businesses together, but it is us who are wallowing in poverty.
Yes, Mr. G.
Okay, I feel, as I always say, that as Kenyans, a time comes that we need to choose the right leaders. But in case we make a mistake, we should not blame ourselves, or we should not come out gun blazing kama vile ina happen sahi. I see people trying to call for revolution, people trying to call for impeachment because things are going wrong. This is something that we could have avoided kama tungesikiza our leaders. So when something happens, wacha tukule wembe mpaka mwisho. There's nothing we can do right now. Maybe talking about impeachment. Impeachment cannot be done in this government. Impeachment cannot be done in our parliament. So as people of Kenya, I think we need to look at how we can improve our own lives. And improving our own life, I think every situation has a way that can pay you when you decide to do something. Because what I believe is that business is all about solving problems. I think at the moment we have a lot of problems that is happening. But in the same problem, we can still find something that we can do that can help us to put food on the table. But when you listen to our leaders and try to please them, thinking that things will come right, I don't think if there's anything that will come right. Sasa ni wakati wa kujipanga vizuri, kwa sababu people are discouraged, people are disappointed, and this is the time that where I'm encourage our leader of Azimio to go back to his team and go back to his region, mobilize them, talk to them, and strategize for the next election, kwa sababu this election ambayo inakuja tusipojichunga huu mtu atatuibia. I saw Mburu talking to us that Kijali alichenga DCI akachenga NIS. This guy had bought these people. These people are on his side. Hata si tukienda pale, angalia, even before election before even the leader be announced, tayari NIS wameshadanganya Uhuru, ameenda meka red carpet pale. Uneka vipi red carpet na hata nini hajatangazwa? These people are just playing around with the mind of Uhuru. This is the right time. The same way Ruto did to Uhuru in the last region, in the last government, we should do it right now. Sai to strategize for the next coming election na tujipange vizuri. Tusipojipanga tutapoteza tena. Kosunu mwizi na atatuibia tu.
Wow, Ruto ni mwizi na atatuibia tena. Hiyo ni maneno makali.
Mwizi suku.
Ayub, you're parting short.
Okay, thank you very much, host Nick, and also the panelists, and thank you for the time that you've given us, that we've been able to deliberate on some issues that are pertaining our nation. My parting shot would be that, just like my fellow participants have said, that tribalism is a tool that is used by politicians to divide us. And after they have divided us, it is them who get the power and the money. So if it would be wise for us to avoid tribalism. I remember the last election, I made an observation. Just before the election, there's a place I was working, and we have all people from all regions of Kenya. And we were such big and good friends. We were doing things together and all that. And then the campaign started, and people started taking certain affiliations. And I said that Kenya is not a tribalist nation. Kenya tribalism is manufactured, and it is manufactured for purposes of people who want to attain power. If Kenyans, we can recognize that, we can be greater than the people who we call leaders. I don't know even if they deserve to be called leaders, because they are not. Those are schemers. They are people who connive. They are thugs that come and pretend to be leaders, but deep within them, they know that whatever they are doing is selfish. It is for themselves, to enrich themselves. The Kenyans, we should take back our the power that we have. When we say that in the constitution that the power resides in the people, truly we should be able to exercise that power by electing not the people that these people think. We can elect even somebody who they don't think. We should not give them the comfort to divide us again. I know this may not be the popular thing to say, but let me just say it, that we can do things differently. We can elect somebody who is not even among the people that we say or are in this frontline political affiliations. But having said that, more than anything else, let us keep unity. Our brother has said it's time to go back to the drawing board. Politics is a game of is a game that you make a plan, you execute a plan. So those who are not in power, it's time to think and rethink and get yourself into a winning plan. Otherwise, if it's just the same old, we cannot expect any new results. So thank you very much, and have a good night and a good day for those who are on the day.
All right, thank you, panelists. We come yet to an end of another wonderful experience on Afrique 24. I've been your host, Mzalendo. Thank you for joining us today on Afrique. We discussed the latest developments in Kenyan politics and the impact of the housing scheme on our lives as Kenyans. We have had a lively and informative debate with our esteemed panelists who shared their perspective and analysis on the issues. I would like to thank them for their time and participation. I would also like to thank our viewers who are tuned in to watch and listen to us. I would like to thank the guys on the comment section who have been keeping us engaged with the comments. We would love to hear your thoughts and comments on the topic and the show. So please feel free to reach out to us on social media platforms. On Facebook, we are Afrique 24 on Facebook, and our website is Afrique 24. And also, make sure you subscribe to Afrique 24 channel on YouTube, so that each and every time we have a wonderful show, we will keep you alerted and you'll come and join the rest of the panelists. I was standing in for Jakes, our usual host on this particular program. I think he'll be joining you at exactly 10 p.m. Tonight with yet another wonderful episode of Afrique 24 stories. This is Afrique, the voice of Africa, unlocking the African story. Thank you very much and adios na karibuni tena kwenye show popote mlipo. Nashukuru sana sana mapanelists wale wamekuwa hapa. If you can hang around for some time again, we will be able to chat and talk. Some of we have not seen them for a while. Tutabidi tutaongea na tupige gumzo na tuone vile tutatengeneza hii show yetu iwe show ya burudani na iwe show mardad kabisa, ili tuweze kuwa